Mhm.
Good morning.
Good morning, Blake and Aaron.
Good morning.
Just wanted to remind you to connect up to Bobo.
I'm connected.
Excellent. We have just a couple of minutes here before we do our news
Okay.
headlines.
Shall I play my new intro so that you guys can enjoy that with the
Let's
rest of
do
the
it.
listeners?
Yeah.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's community radio.
We are still spilling the tea.
And committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
Come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman,
Live, direct.
it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right. How about that?
I like it.
I like that open. That's nice.
Nice little country tune in there.
Yeah, that's the original theme song for the show, and we brought it back for this year's intro.
It's a good one. I like it.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Did you do that or did somebody do that for you?
I did the script, professional voiceover,
Mm-hmm.
graphic artist, and put it all together.
Nice.
Cool.
Stand by. Here we go.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Big news. I have some important news for you.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Happy Friday, Sandy.
Happy Friday, Blake and Aaron, all of your beautiful listeners.
And your viewers.
Yeah.
Yes, they are here for it.
Welcome, Bobo 89.1.
Hello, everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What do you got for us on this Friday morning?
Got a lot shaking. We got a lot shaking. Breaking news, CMR and Spilling the Tea exclusive. Me, aka Sandra Hill, has been charged.
Oh,
What?
with?
What now?
No.
What'd you do?
I know. What now is a good question. So the DPP's office has instructed the RCIPS to charge me in relation to the civil case with John Felder. You guys might remember that.
Yeah.
It dragged on from 2019 until last year, where he lost in a spectacular fashion the civil case. And the judge, threw it out and said, you're going to have to pay $50,000 worth of her legal fees. Well, he ran to the police since he couldn't get his way in the civil court and has somehow managed to convince the DPP's office that my attempts to negotiate with him, per the judge's instructions earlier in the proceedings, amounts to bribery.
Wow.
Huh.
That's, yeah.
So what
It's
are you being
crazy.
charged with?
Bribery.
Bribery.
Yes. So, normally in civil proceedings, you're allowed to, without prejudice, negotiate back and forth. And I tried to do that. And at the time, I was a litigant person. And they've come back and charged me with bribery and trying to pervert the course of justice.
Huh.
So,
So now you have to go and prove yourself innocent again. And then if you do prove yourself innocent, then he has to pay more fees.
I don't have to prove myself innocent. They have to prove me guilty. And
Well,
there's-
okay, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean. The proving guilt. They have to
on
prove
them.
guilt.
So-
But either way, if they lose again, then do they have to pay more legal fees?
Well, no, because this is a criminal case.
Okay.
Have they paid?
People carry the burden of criminal cases in terms of finances.
Have your other legal fees been paid yet?
Nope. He has ignored that grand court order. has refused to pay the legal fees. He has no intentions of doing so.
And
So
in what time frame would he be in contempt of that?
well, he's already in contempt. But now it's a matter of enforcement because he's not even in this jurisdiction. So he's in Maryland, far removed from anything, exactly, sitting down, kicking up his retirement feet. And yeah, so now I've got to hire people overseas to try to asset trace and track what he has and all this other kind of stuff to get that bill paid. And on top of it, try to mount a possible defense. I mean, mind you, most of the DPP's cases against me have gotten thrown out, and I've never had to put up a defense. So we'll see if this is the case. But I've got Cayman's #1 criminal attorney on the job, Amelia Fasohini. So I feel very, very confident that she will handle the DPP's office.
Right. So are they just not fans of yours or what?
They've never been. Where have you been?
I was going to say, have you heard of Sandy?
They've never been fans of mine, dating back to 2009, when I single-handedly embarrassed them in summary court with a dog theft case where they've accused me of stealing a dog. And since then, it has been a rolling number of case after case after case. And it's just, it's bordering on harassment at this point.
2009 is a year before we got here, but stealing a dog. We're going to circle back to that one day off air because I want to know what happened there. But
yeah, it was pretty crazy, actually. It was,
yeah.
I mean, the judge said, the acting magistrate, which happened to be John Felder, said that he has never witnessed a case that was an absolute waste of the taxpayers' money and waste of time, of court time.
Wow.
His words. Yep.
Wow. All right.
Okay. Didn't even have to put on a defense. He said, this is ridiculous.
Interesting.
Yes, indeed. But anyway.
Any other news? Any updates with insurance?
So while we're on the matter of court news, let's talk about Theodore O'Neill Morgan, a 40-year-old man from West Bay who was remanded on Friday. He's now going to serve a 3-month prison sentence after he tried to, I mean, this case is so crazy. He basically falsified his insurance certificate. So he got pulled over for speeding, and he admitted to no inspection certificate and expired license. But when it came to driving without insurance, because that is an automatic 12-month suspension of your license, he went and quick time ran to the insurance company, got a certificate, and then doctored the certificate to make it look like he had insurance when he was pulled over. Wow. The traffic officers or the traffic court wasn't so stupid. The DPP in that matter realized that something was amiss with this certificate, and they started digging further. And sure enough, he had doctored the certificate. But this guy, he's quite an interesting character. So now he'll spend 3 months in jail. He's since then been arrested and charged for another offense of stalking. And so we'll keep abreast of his, his.
So what was the 3-month sentence for? What was the charge?
It was actually uttering a false document.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Now you're not going to drive for at least.
Yeah, I mean, you know what is so interesting about this guy? He actually showed up to court saying that he worked at the Attorney General's office, which is part of the legal department. It's connected to the DPP's office.
Or how do you lie about something when it's
that's apparently at some point he was there because he was a budding attorney, but I understand he got kicked out of law school for cheating. So he's got a history of, shady stuff going on. But anyway, yes. So, I don't know, Aaron, if you were here when we discussed this case, but definitely Blake will remember that the woman who came here, who was then requested to be extradited back to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Murder charges.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Yes, we did eventually get quite a bit of information on this, and CBC has issued a statement, which we published yesterday, and basically confirmed everything that we already knew, in that, her sister, well, they didn't go into quite this much detail, but someone took out a work permit for her, carrying hands as a care person for the elderly, basically. And so the crazy thing is her sister knew, that she was obviously in some sort of trouble, running from the law. And she convinced someone, a friend of hers, to take out a work permit, is the allegation. And the friend did just that. And then, she brought her here days after this incident. And of course, within days, the police in Jamaica were like, hold on a second, we're actually looking for her. So they sent the request to have her sent back to Jamaica. You cannot make this stuff up. So in other news, Uber. People are confused, saying that Uber is coming to the Cayman Islands. We're going to sort out the confusion this morning in our program. That's not quite what's going on, but there was another media house that used the term Uber. And so in people's mind, they're all up in arms about, oh my God, we can't have Uber here.
Well, it's like Uber-like company.
Yeah.
Which is like a I don't know.
It's not even
the taxi.
It's like a taxi service.
It doesn't matter because the rates are set.
Yeah, it's
the
not
rates
even
are set by government. Then the rates are set. That's not Uber. That's not a free.
It'll be the same.
It'll be the same price. That's the thing. You could bring in all sorts of.
Well, not according to the story. It said they were going to provide cheaper services.
No, that story is completely wrong. You reading the Compass there, Blake? Shame on you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I read. Something online.
Yeah, well, it's completely wrong. Anyway, we're going to break it down this morning for sure. Big shout out to Pause Cayman, who after 12 years in operation, they're going to be winding up. This is one of the really great animal welfare and rescue services in the Cayman Islands, who's done a lot for the animal community. And we're sad to see them go, but they're funded back in 2010. And they're now saying that, they're going to wrap up their small volunteer-led nonprofit organization. Now, we're also on the lookout for someone who ran over a dog yesterday. This is a sad case.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's hard to see if this was intentional. Some people think it was. Some people think they just didn't see the dog. But anyway, it's a really, really sad situation. A small, domesticated dog, obviously.
I heard that you were being charged with that. That's what I heard.
Probably. I mean, I just got to wait and see what happens. Next year, they'll come back and say, oh, yeah, you did it. And, 1 year later. But so we're trying to find the person who did this. I mean, listen, accidents do happen, but you need to stop. And
where was it at?
Sorry?
Where was it at?
Location.
I think it was, hold on a second now. I'm trying to remember. The person didn't originally say, but let me see if I can. I'll send it to you because I need to have a look at the story. Okay. One final one. Cayman on trial in the UK for attempted murder. So this was a story that CMR actually broke back, I think it was last year, where this man violently attacked his ex-girlfriend and he stabbed her with a broken beer bottle. Now he claims in his trial, Jeremy Holness, the trial has started, he's 40 years old. He claims that he does not remember giving her a 6-inch slash wound to her neck and cuts to her face and a broad daylight attack in the UK. So he's from Georgetown, Grand Cayman, has lived in the UK since 2019, and he's now found himself in Wolverhampton Crown Court, where his trial continues, and he's being accused of, attempted murder. So we will keep you all updated because he could be going to jail in the UK for a very long time. So those are some of your news headlines this morning. Happy Friday. It's crazy.
Andy's on fire this morning.
I know. Let's get it.
Catch the show right now on Bobo 89.1 FM. We'll see you Monday. Actually, we'll see you Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's a bank holiday on Monday.
Monday's a holiday again. Oh,
bank holiday on Monday. So
awesome. You guys have a good weekend.
Take a break though from the news.
Yeah. Be safe.
Right. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. That's Spilling the Tea in Hot 104.1. Big shout out to Blake and Aaron. They're doing their thing over there. Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing today? Ooh, honey child. We got so much to talk about. I tell you what. 936 Bobo is the telephone number. My apologies. Yesterday, we were in the studio so hot and bothered and hot and heated and everything else that I forgot to turn on the studio phone. I did think it was particularly quiet. But my mouth was going a mile a minute. And I literally forgot to turn it on. So my sincere apologies, but you can call in 936-2626. Of course, there's actually a link to jump in the studio with me on, where you can do like video link or you can turn your camera off. That's always a line that's open. Cayman Mall Road / talk show. We're working on a couple things for you because there's a big scam right now that is costing people thousands of dollars here in the Cayman Islands. You guys are not going to believe this, but we are investigating a situation where a local retail store, online realtor, I should say, has somehow been charging people, one lady over $7,000 in goods that they then claim that some man and woman are picking up. It's a very sketchy story to say the least, and we are looking into this. Because now I'm aware of multiple victims who have stepped forward and said, I'm a victim. Here's how much money has been taken from my account via my debit or credit card. It seems to be debit cards linked to local banks. And we're trying to get to the bottom of this. It's not a particular bank. So far, we know for sure customers of Butterfield have been impacted by this, as well as customers of FCIB. So we need to get to the bottom of this because that's a lot of money. $2,000, $7,000. Listen, people work hard for their money, and they don't want their money disappearing for something that they never ordered, they never paid for, and they most certainly never received. This is quite something, and I must tell you that I have my suspicions about what's going on. So we know who the owner of the company is. We have photos of supposedly the products that were, said to have been delivered. One lady has sent me the POS charges on her account. It was actually 2 separate POS charges that were put through. And so there are a lot of questions, one for $800 and one for $225 in this particular instance. And there are a lot of questions. So these victims have reported it to the police, but of course, they sometimes have to take their time, as they say, to do an investigation. And so it's taking a minute, and we're trying to prevent other people from becoming victimized. Except I'm not quite sure how it's being done. This is the part that is a bit sketchy to me, and I think we need to discuss it and maybe even call this guy to say, hey, what's up, Doc? All right. You guys know the telephone number. We're live right now. Bobo, Facebook, YouTube, good to go. Now I'm hoping, praying, fingers crossed, that the radio link will be stable today. I know Chuck is on the other end monitoring it as much as he can. So thank you very, very much, Chuck. My internet is dropping again. So we have lodged another complaint with Flow to try to get their tech team out here to see wagwan around here. We thought we had resolved it right before I went away last week, because it was doing it then, and something about some modem system update on their end that impacts us and blah, blah, blah. And we've actually seen this happen before, where they push through updates on their system, and then I don't know what, it just breaks something. The updates don't always fix stuff. So we're hoping to get that sorted out soon. But in the interim, boy, I understand that yesterday was painful, because although my social media feed was rather reliable, it seems that the radio one kept dipping. And I'm very much aware that some connections are so sensitive that literally, oh my gosh, literally, okay, literally it's, it was impacting the radio connection. I just saw a little thing from Facebook about, oh, we've covered your post because it may show graphic content. And then they go on to say this post doesn't go against our community standards, but it may be sensitive to some people. Okay. Speaking of sensitive to some people, let's talk about this. Let me show you guys this situation here. Boy, people are so sensitive these days, honey child. And everybody's about this cancel culture. So this is what Facebook just popped up on my screen. Now, this is actually a photo of a set of lungs. Oh, yes, it's a medical photo. And what it is, it's a set of lungs on the one hand that shows a healthy lung. And on the other hand, it shows a smoker's lung. And it's like, guess which one belonged to the smoker? Let me take a wild guess. The people on Instagram are being facetious. Oh, it's definitely the one on the left, they said. Well, keep smoking and y'all will surely find out. I mean, look at the difference. And then the people are like, well, they're both dead. That's true. Both people would have to be dead. Well, perhaps you can take out a lung without somebody being dead, but I'm sure they're both dead. However, it could be that maybe the one on this end is being transferred. Maybe this person get a lung transplant. We didn't have all the details that went with it. But maybe they're sending, because it looks like it's the exact same facility, right? So maybe they're in the process of doing a lung transplant. But anyway, the healthy lung, you could see how emphysema and all sorts of other things will creep in, including cancers, of the lung and other things for the one who is actually the smoker. So what a hot situation. All I can tell you, folks, is even inhaling environmental things into your lungs is not healthy for you. And so, think twice about what you're exposing yourself to. Yeah. All right. That's your health alert for the day. Mm-hmm. All right. So Burger King is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. Congratulations to Burger King. And they are giving away scratch away. You can, I think you make a purchase and you get one of these scratch and win cards. Now they've had people win. Honey child, people are winning money. And so we have got some scratch and win cards and we're going to be giving them away. So y'all need to pay attention. And we also have our usual gift certificates from Burger King and Popeyes. Did we get any Popeyes ones? No, we only have Burger King. We need to get some Popeyes ones because I know y'all love you some Popeyes. Y'all love that fried chicken and corn and stuff. So we'll get some of those as well. And yes, so big shout out to them. So pay attention this morning because you can win yourself a scratch off prize, which means that you can then win something else from Burger King. Jonathan says it's the pink one and it's been photoshopped. Oh, Jonathan, stop being silly now. There's no debate. When I say no debate, I do mean no debate about what cancer does to your lungs and other things. What cancer does. Well, yes, what smoking does, right? Including gives you cancer. So I'm not so sure that this is debatable, but I know some of y'all don't want to believe it. I still had, I think this was last year, a friend of mine said, and this really shows you how people can be woefully confused. And it's just shocking and unbelievable and everything. But someone actually said their girlfriend found out she had breast cancer and she's been a long-term smoker. And they said, oh, she was telling us about it. And we said, yeah, but don't you smoke? And she's like, no, well, smoking doesn't cause cancer. I was like, whoa. That's crazy. Like really crazy for anybody in their right mind to say that. Even if you're a smoker, the most you can say is you're going to take your chances and you're going to die anyway. And you don't care what you die from and you don't care how young you die. Some people believe in living fast and furious. If they die at 21, they're good with that. That's on you. I guess. So they live a very reckless lifestyle and they take a lot of chances and it's your body, it's your health. What I think is unfortunate though, is there are a lot of people who ultimately impact other people with their smoking and they don't recognize that secondhand and thirdhand smoke. Y'all don't know about thirdhand smoke, but I'm going to educate you one day about what that is. And so, at the end of the day, folks, ultimately you have a choice. Just like some people will eat themselves to death and some people will stress themselves out with work and everything else and drop down with a heart attack. I guess we all have a choice on how we're going to live our lives and if we're going to, try to live a healthier, longer, more fulfilling life. And longer doesn't always mean that you're going to be happier or that your life is going to even be more fulfilling, because honestly, there are some people who live a long, unhappy life. So quality of life certainly does matter. But without a doubt, folks, there are things that impact the quality of your life. And I have seen people suffering with breathing situations. I have seen people, who have emphysema and other things. And it's just kind of crazy, right? So we shall see. And I think that, if you have children or grandchildren and you want to be able to spend quality time with them, I would hope that you have some sort of motivation outside of your own personal interests to live a little bit longer. And you know what? Your friends probably like you too. And some of them might even love you and want you to stick around. So think on it, consider it. The evidence is overwhelming. There's no question anymore about that. So before we get to the substantive issue today, about this Uber in Cayman situation, which is quite interesting. Let's talk about a couple other things first. So in sort of celebrity news, actor Alec Baldwin has been charged. He's now facing a criminal charge of involuntary manslaughter in the shooting death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins, who was killed on a film set in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So I think you guys might remember this. I think it happened just last year, actually, where he had what should have been a prop gun, but it actually went off and it had a live round in it, and it actually ended up shooting and killing this woman. So the films Armorer, which I don't know what an Armorer does on a film set. They got all these positions in each one. They're also, Hannah Gutierrez Reed is also facing the exact same charge. And this comes out of the First Judicial District Attorney's Office there in New Mexico. So she actually announced her decision yesterday in writing. It's a sad situation. I mean, obviously it was an accident, and that's why the charge is involuntary manslaughter. But, I think that at the end of the day, it just demonstrates that in a lot of instances, the law doesn't care who you are, especially in the US. They do tend to apply it a lot more equally than maybe what we see even here. So we shall see what comes of that. I don't know what involuntary manslaughter carries in terms of a sentence. I think there's a lot of discretion that is probably there that they can exercise. A couple of days ago, the oldest known person in the world, Sister Andre of France, died on Tuesday, less than a month before her 119th birthday. Talking about living a long life. So she was going to be 119 on February the 11th. So she was sneaking up on that birthday. And she's considered the world's oldest known person. So she died at 118 and 340 days. Again, 1 month shy of her 119th birthday. She held the record for both the oldest living person and the oldest living nun. Interesting, eh? So yes, she was a nun. She was born in France in 1904 as Lucille Randon, and took the name Sister Andre, it looks like Andre. She's French. I guess I have to say it with a fake French accent. In 1944, and she spent most of her life in religious service as a Roman Catholic nun. So somebody's asking what the threshold is for manslaughter. It certainly would vary by jurisdiction. So I'm obviously more familiar with the UK context, but we can certainly look it up. Basically, you just killed it's just somebody's dead by some act that you were connected to. So, the criminal justice system sometimes holds you accountable, not necessarily for intending to kill or harm somebody, but even for negligence. And that's exactly what this is in this case. Like, there were people who should have ensured that gun did not have a live round in it. And so because Alec Baldwin fired it, obviously him and the other person are now in a bit of trouble. So somebody says compared to murder, where murder has a higher, what is referred to as mens rea, and requires you to put some thought process in place, like you planned it and you did other things, especially for first degree murder, which requires premeditation in the United States context. So both of them could face up to 18 months in jail and a $5,000 fine if convicted. And they will be tried by a jury. So jury trials, as I always say here, can be very unpredictable. So just because they've been charged doesn't mean that they're actually going to be convicted. So in relation to this, the film's assistant director, David Halls, actually has already entered a guilty plea to a misdemeanor charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. And he's going to spend 6 months serving probation. So what are the chances that they'll serve jail time? I feel probably not very high. So, it's a very, very sad situation. And of course, now they're talking about greater safety regulations on film sets and stuff. Remember, oh my gosh, there's a couple famous ones over the years that this has happened, but Bruce Lee's son, didn't he die this same way, where a firearm went off on a set and killed him? I mean, so tragic. Bruce Lee's only son. Did Bruce Lee have any other children? I'm trying to remember. But definitely his only son, and he was just starting his acting career. It was starting to take off. Then there was another guy. Oh man, I can't remember his name, but this would have been, I think, the early to mid 90s that this one happened in a film set. And I only remember it because he was on a TV series that at the time I was like getting into. And the theme song, somebody said Brandon Lee, and it was the Crow movie. Yeah, very, very sad. But the theme song was, it's like in my brain. Hold on. What was the theme song of this? Oh, it's going to come to me. But anyway, he was also killed on set when a live round was accidentally discharged. Really, really sad situation. So the initial investigation found that there was a degree of negligence. And the producers have also been fined $136,000 by the New Mexico Environment Department for failing to enforce safety protocols. And the allegations are that, they were so pressed for time on this. They were, over budget, over time in this film, that they're really pushing everybody to the brink. Like, let's get it done. Let's work longer days and all this kind of stuff. And people were not being careful. And somebody loaded it. And Alec Baldwin said that the gun had misfired and that he did not pull the trigger and was not aware that it was loaded. And, he has also filed a civil suit against several people involved in the film, alleging that they failed to check the gun carefully. So it's crazy. He's 64 years old. But they have actually in October, they reached a settlement with the production company for an undisclosed amount to her family. So that's in the millions of dollars, honey child. You kill somebody in the United States of America, you're going to pay for that. It's only Cayman that you kill people and there's no civil action, which I think is shocking. Only now are people starting to realize that, oh, wow, I can sue people who hit me with a vehicle and all this other stuff. Yes, honey child, call our friends over at Recover, part of Broadhurst Attorneys at Law. They'll help you recover your money. Remember years ago when I first moved back to Cayman, I've got a friend who was telling me how her sister was killed by a drunk driver. She was riding her motorbike and she said, oh, my mom never got over that. And having lived in America and grew up in America, my first question was, did you sue them? Did your mom sue them? And my friend here in Cayman was like, what do you mean sue them? I don't even know if the woman who was drunk driving really faced any criminal charges. It was back in the day, like in the 70s or something. And I said, but you can sue in a civil court because your sister's life has some value. And you'd be interested to know how they figure out what the value is. There's an actual formula based on what you're doing in your life and what your earning potential would have been over the remainder of your life. So if you're older, like in your 60s and 70s, and you die, you're not likely to get much because you were approaching retirement age and, your earning capacity is different. So there's a whole formula that they will use to determine your value. And I mean, I know it sounds very, what's the word I'm looking for? Sterile? No. What's the word I'm looking for? Sterile? No. What is the word that I'm looking for? Not that. Whatever. It sounds very like it's very legal in the sense, like it's non-emotive, and it's like, okay, let's figure out how much this person's life is actually worth. But that's how it's done. They have to remove the emotion from it in order to try to compensate people based on some sort of formula. So like if you were, a lawyer making $1 million a year and you get killed, somebody else is going to have to pay. I think the term might be, I feel like that's close to the word, but that's not quite the word. Okay, I think that might be it. That's not quite the word. Very clinical. I don't know what the word is, but that's anyway. So yes, so there is an actual formula that is involved in determining that for sure. So so involuntary manslaughter definition: accidental killing of another person due to some kind of negligence or reckless act. And that includes impairment from alcohol and that sort of thing as well in the US. So, oh, look at here. We got a phone call this morning. Good morning, caller.
I wonder who that would be.
Yeah. Good morning, Kenny.
Morning. I just want to say, when you think about negligence in that case with the firearm, I see very clearly why they charged him.
Mm-hmm.
Because the most basic rule in firearm safety, like number one, is the following:
Mm-hmm.
treat every firearm as if it's loaded.
Mm.
How do you get over that one? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you treated the firearm as if it was loaded, even if it was unloaded, that should not have happened. So they clearly didn't even follow the most basic of rules.
Mm-hmm.
That's rule number one, right? So there's going to be a lot of problems.
Yeah, I think that they probably will get a conviction. You know, you can't, there's only so much responsibility that you can pass on other people for certain things. So at some point, you yourself, if you're handling a firearm, have a responsibility to handle it, you know, within certain safety protocols, especially when you're on a set such as this. And these accidents have happened before. And it's just a really unfortunate situation because I imagine a lot of these actors and actresses have handled probably, you know, dozens, if not more, you know, scenes where they've had a gun and a firearm and nothing has ever gone wrong, but it only takes one time. And it only takes one bullet to take somebody's life as well. And it was really unfortunate because this young lady is obviously in the prime of her life. You know, so it's a life lost for sure.
Well, on another subject, I think the legal system in the Cayman Islands have lost their minds. I didn't get to listen to all of your show yesterday, but I was taken back by what I was hearing. And I can't explain it, but there seems to be a lot of irrational things taking place in the Cayman Islands, and nobody seems to be willing to do anything about it.
Well, I wouldn't
Not
say,
even the government.
I wouldn't say nobody. We're sitting here talking about it every single day, and we're agitating.
Yeah, but
that's something,
this
Denny.
I know, but in this case, it's the victim complaining. So I'm saying, when I say nobody, I mean somebody in a position of authority.
Does it not always normally start with the victims who bring their stories forward?
Yeah. You're correct. But I'm just saying the people who are in power.
And that's why none of us should ever remain silent, you know. Denny, every single day on this show, we spend a lot of time talking about what's happening to other people, and people call in and they share their stories. And, you know, there's a reason for that. And there's a reason why you cannot sit back and be complacent and remain silent. You know, a lot of people would wish that when something happens to you that you think is wrong, that you say nothing and you do nothing. And then the end result is that nothing will ever change. You know?
Well, that's how it continues to happen when you say nothing.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with my 6-year-old yesterday, and boy, sometimes I've started to record her conversations because I can't believe some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth. But she was asking me, what do governments do? And I was like, girl, if I could answer that question. I don't even know how it got started, but she's like, well, Mom, what do governments do? And I was like, girl, That is a $1 million question right there. And I tried to explain it in language that a 6-year-old could understand. I said, well, they try to set stuff up and make decisions. So they're sometimes good and sometimes bad. And she's like, well, why do they make bad decisions? Like, why, and I was like, oh, Lord. I said, it's complicated. I don't even know where to begin.
A 6-year-old having a religious conversation with you.
I don't know, boy. I was like, listen, I don't know where to begin.
Anyhow, take care.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Somebody's saying that they can't see me on Facebook. I don't know why, honey child, because we got 155 people watching. Done. There I am. Let me send them the link. I think in the back up. I don't think it went off. Anyway, yes, thanks, Denny, for those comments. 936 Bobo is indeed the telephone number. So yeah, I think Alec Baldwin will probably get convicted. If his lawyers are smart, they'll probably work out some kind of plea deal. Like, just plead guilty. I mean, it does meet the definition of involuntary manslaughter, and work out a deal. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
Hey, morning, my friend. This is your first call for the new year, so happy new year.
Happy New Year to you. I know you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm hanging in there. Doing good.
Good. I just waited until my good friend is finished, so I gave him a chance to finish.
Okay. What's on your
Okay.
mind today?
Okay, let me tell you what happened to me.
Oh, okay.
I did a try and clear my throat.
Yes.
Just finished drinking my hot water.
Okay.
You know, every morning I drink my hot water.
Do you put lime in it?
No, apple cider vinegar.
Oh, okay.
So I told you to start drinking your apple cider vinegar with your hot water. Okay. Last week I did a transaction from Scotiabank to pay my strata fee, as I do every month. Okay. Now, about a day after, I got a call on my phone, and this person called saying they're calling from Scotia.
They're confirming. Sorry, say that again.
Person called me. Said they're calling for Scotia. Said they're trying to assist me because they see where I did a transaction, and they're calling from customer service, Scotia customer service. I say yes, and they see where someone is doing a $6,000 transaction, and they're trying to assist me to block that $6,000. But in order to assist me to block that $6,000, I must go on my computer and log on, and they must give me. I must give them a number of information, but I must first log on my computer. But listen to this now. I'm listening to the voice of the person talking to me, and because I've taught a number of people. I'm not gonna call the culture of people. Because I don't want anybody feel bad. I could pick up the voice of the culture people. I say, I know where this call is coming from.
Oh, okay. So you heard an accent then, is what you're saying?
Yes. So I know
are you going to tell us where that accent was from?
It is from India.
Okay.
So I said something don't sound right there. Well, if you're trying to help me, why you want me to give you all my information? If you're trying to help me and you call from Scotia, you should already know.
From America, honey, and different
So I said,
different numbers.
Excuse me, if you're calling from Scotia, you should already have information.
Yes.
So I say, excuse me, sir. you already have my information at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So why should I give him my account number?
Mm-hmm.
And he said I must give him the PIN number on the back of the card and all that information. I said, excuse me, sir, get off my phone. And that deep Indian accent, and I said, sir, get off my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't give him anything. So just warning people, when you get these kind of calls, don't give them anything. I didn't give him anything. This is calling from Scotia.
The number is from America.
But then guess what? That phone number, when I checked, it was a US number.
Yeah, they get these burner numbers from all over the place.
It was from Arizona.
Yep.
Different numbers.
All right. So you avoided getting scammed. That's a bit of good news.
And I went straight to Scotia, and they said it didn't. The $6,000 did not go through.
Yeah,
And
that was just somebody trying to get your information. Yeah, I get these emails and stuff all the time where they're sending me. They claim they're sending me receipts and invoices and stuff, and they just want you to click on it because then that contains a virus. So you got to be careful.
On my laptop, so I must go on the computer and type in numbers.
Oh, honey, child, you got to be careful. I always tell my bank, my primary bank, which is CNB, I say, listen, you need to contact me, send me an email. I know who they are. I advise them of when I'm traveling so that they don't block my card unnecessarily and that sort of thing. Otherwise I need to get an email from a trusted person that I know. Now, of course, CNB has outsourced some of their fraud department to Trinidad. So you do have people from there calling. But yeah, like you said, when they call you, they should know information about you if they're calling you. It shouldn't be that they're asking you for information, right? They might have to ask you your security question and answer, but that's about it.
Where you ask me to give a number of different things. If you're coming for customer service role, I already know those stuff.
Yep. All right, caller, we appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. So word of warning, folks, be careful out there because there's always someone who's trying to separate you from your money. Trust me, and believe that every single day. That's what they do. They work hard to separate you from your money. I was watching this this YouTube video. There's a channel that specializes in tracking down these scammers. A lot of them are coming out of Nigeria. And they are working overtime. A lot of them are running what they call romance scams now. You know, they had the lottery one where they would tell you you'd win money. And a lot of senior citizens, unfortunately, have been victimized by that. But now there's romance scams where they set up these profiles on these dating sites and they're just waiting for some lonely old person to reach out to them. And next thing you know, they're starting to ask you to send them money for this, that, and everything. We're going to talk about that one day because it's very, very interesting. So I just got word that KX 102 has just had to return to Cayman after takeoff. Not sure why, but as soon as we find out, we'll let you know. We tell you what's breaking as it comes in. So KX 102, which normally is headed to Miami this time of morning, has just returned, turned back. One thing I must say, caller, I'm coming to you. Give me 1 second. One thing I must say about Cayman Airways pilots, I have found that they must be some of the best pilots in the world because they will take no chances with your safety. In fact, when I was flying to New York, I was thinking of them because we ran into some turbulence, and I've never really enjoyed a whole lot of turbulence. Like I've heard of some people tell some horrific stuff about, flying all over the place and like literally, their head hitting the top of the ceiling in the cabin and whatever. And I've never had anything like that. But what I did experience on my way to New York is probably the worst turbulence that I have felt. And I'd just gotten up to go to the bathroom, and the pilot said, everybody sit down because we're going into some turbulence. And I must say that it kind of threw me into the seat before I could sit back down and buckle up. And there was a stewardess who was right in front of me trying to secure herself as well, so she didn't get thrown down the aisle. But I don't know how Cayman Airways pilots do it, but they seem to have a knack for avoiding turbulence. I don't know if they don't go as high up or if they just know, okay, there's like a little rain cloud over there. We're not even going to go through that. Let's go around it, or I don't know, but they're very, very good at avoiding turbulence. I've never really had much turbulence in a Cayman Airways flight. Anyway, caller, good morning. Happy Friday. What is on your mind today?
Well, happy Friday to you and your listeners. Plenty on my mind today, but there was even more on my mind yesterday because I was, you see, I missed a lot of, well, put it this way. When you were talking about your legal things yesterday, I didn't watch you live yesterday, so I couldn't call in. I really would have called in, but I watched it. I watched all of it, the legal part of it, the latter part of the day. So, and I said, wow, 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 wow. I should have listened to this. You see, this is the same thing that your second last caller was talking about certain legal, judicial sides of things in the Cayman Islands not working well. And yesterday you touched on a case which really I was following very carefully. This was a case of Evita Dixon. I hope she doesn't mind that we are mentioning her name, because I think it's being mentioned to show how unfairly treated that she was. You see, in addition to what you said about that case, by the way, I should mention that I knew the lady a little bit, because when I was in the portfolio of legal affairs, that's when she was also working for the legal department. We're in the same portfolio, but not in the same department. And just the idea that she was prosecuted at all, the idea that they spent so much money, so many days, a jury and all that to prosecute that, is actually totally ridiculous, and everybody who was involved in saying they should be prosecuted should be ashamed of themselves. Look, according to the public reports, which you know, the newspaper reports, they say that what happened in that case was that her son was going to be charged for ganja possession. The file came into her possession, and then what she did was she took the file to the Crown Counsel who was dealing with the matter and said, please, 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 can you just warn my son, you know? So what did she do? She took the file to the person who is responsible, that's the Crown Counsel, and said, I have the file, here it is, but this is my plea for my son.
Well, I think
now,
that the criminal allegation wasn't even that. The criminal allegation is that the file went missing, and they allege that she hid the file somewhere in the office so that they couldn't find it to make a ruling on the file.
Now, to me, fine. But she had come out in the open about the file, okay? She had come out in the open about the file, and the person who was responsible was whom? Was the Crown Counsel. I mean, in all these matters, you've got a legal background, Sandy. When your lawyer is supervising you, it is their job to ensure that things are being done properly. Okay? And if they need to be backed up or anything, you know, they must make sure that it is. Look, you will give your legal clerk something to draft or to keep, but if it goes missing, you are responsible, because you are the one who is called to the bar. You are the one. That person is merely supporting you. In my view, what they should have done, they should have charged also the Crown Counsel for neglect of duty, in my view. In fact, in some places, what they would do is, when there is a problem like that, they will say, well, both of you are responsible. Both of you are responsible. However, because we need a witness, we will charge the bigger fish and make the smaller fish the witness. But in Cayman, they charge the smaller fish, I'm sorry to use that term in relation to a decent woman, to charge somebody who is at a lower rank, and then they let the other person go. The other person should have been charged as well. And look at what has happened. They've totally ruined the person. And this is what they did also to the PA to Canova Watson. They charged her, and they said, well, you should have known what is going on. When it got to court, it wound up pretty much like one of your previous cases, where the judge said, hey, why are you charging this person? If a PA is told to cash this check, send this to the
I think in that case, again, if memory serves me correctly, they
So yeah.
actually, the jury found her not guilty in the end. So I don't think her
Yes,
charges were thrown out or
yes,
dismissed. But yes, a jury of her peers found her not guilty.
Okay, yeah, fine. And so, but if I remember correctly, there was also a little bit of a comment from the judge as to why she was charged or something like that, and so on. But anyway, to me, this is a problem. I can tell you without mentioning names that there are people, for example, in the police, who have been making, or in the past have made like claims for overtime. Later on, it was found that they were false claims, and instead of them being prosecuted, all they did was, well, let them do some more overtime, and then after that, then we can set that off against the money which they had gotten fraudulently to begin with. But let me close on another disappointing note regarding judiciary and legal and so on. I have 4 matters now with the ombudsman in Cayman. 4 matters. They all relate around the same issue, but they demonstrate some of the improvements that need to be done. For example, the judiciary refused to give me copies of certain video proceedings. I told them under the constitution they can't stop me from doing that. So the matter has been appealed to the ombudsman. The ombudsman has accepted the appeal, so they are dealing with it. I asked them to give me information regarding how many lawyers have been complained against, the results, and so on and so forth. I didn't ask for names. They said they couldn't give me that. I had to appeal that. I asked them, I said, can you give me the number of judges who've been complained against, what the cases were about, what the decisions were? Again, no names. This time, they got external legal advice, and then they told me they will give me that information. But having said they will give me that information, they've now gone quiet on me. They don't want to give it to me. So under FOI, it means they have refused. So I've appealed that one as well. The Judicial and Legal Services Commission. The Judicial and Legal Services Commission should have drawn up rules in 2016. This is nearly 7 years now. 2016, so that, if any member of the public has got a problem like I had against a lying judge, I can go and complain and be protected by certain rules. Those rules have never been drawn up by the Judicial and Legal Services Commission from 2016. I've written to the governor, to the commission, to the attorney general. Up to now, they haven't been written. So people in Cayman have had no rules which protect them, which give them an opportunity to go and complain to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission if a judge does something wrong. That's why I ended up suing a judge, because I said, how can you tell me I can't sue a judge and then I can't complain against him? Where is my constitutional protection? It is the Constitution actually which says that there must be a complaint procedure, and they have failed to do that. So that also I have taken it to the commission, to the ombudsman. The ombudsman is dealing with it, and I think that if these issues can be dealt with, a lot of people will have a kind of protection that they are not supposed to have. Last point, Sandy. I know you've given me a lot of time.
And I want to ask you a question, but go ahead and make your last point.
Okay. The last point is, for example, how they just refuse to prosecute people. The judge that I sued, the reason that I sued him was because I was able to prove through 13 emails that he denied me a hearing for a reason that didn't exist. Oh, I couldn't give him the 2-day hearing that I promised him. Why? Because he didn't ask for it in good time. And yet I have 13 emails to show that it was asked for 2 months in advance. Now, why haven't I won the case? It is because I've gone through 6 judges, 4 Court of Appeal judges, 2 Grand Court judges. Not a single one of those judges is ready to even quote from those emails. And yet they say, no, you haven't proved anything. Anyway, that's the last point I was going to make.
Very interesting indeed. Have you ever heard of a situation? Obviously, you're a qualified lawyer in multiple jurisdictions. But have you ever heard of parties trying to negotiate and settle a civil matter, then being charged criminally in relation to those negotiations? Have you ever come across such a case? I mean, there's anomalies in law all over the place, and sometimes they're very obscure. So, I have always tried to find, whenever I've had to defend myself, which now it's getting into the multiple digit times, But I always try to find cases. Yesterday, I was talking about one of the cases that they brought against me, which was property damage for supposedly damaging and stealing my own stuff that I could produce receipts for in a court of law. And the judge was like, "What? You have the receipts for these items?" I said, "Of course I do, because I'm the one who purchased them." And she was like, "Well, how could you steal your own fire extinguisher?" And I said, "Well, I would love to know." They were charging me with damaging a property that I had put in because the landlord said that they wanted to keep the leasehold improvements after initially telling me to take it out. And so when I started to take it out, 30 days later, they changed their minds, and then that becomes a criminal offense. But in this particular case, have you ever heard of, you and I are in the middle of civil litigation? The judge says, as they often do, go away and settle this. Do your best to settle it. One party makes an offer without prejudice. And then, because ultimately you don't get your way in the civil proceedings, you run to a police officer and complain that, oh, she was trying to bribe me 5 months ago. It didn't occur to you at the time that it was being done, that it was bribery, but 5 months later, after you have a ruling, a grand court ruling overturning your default judgment, all of a sudden you now have a criminal complaint.
Well, I'm so grateful you brought that up, because I didn't note down what I was going to talk to you about. That was actually one of them in my mind, and I'm grateful that you brought that up, because it's a very, very, very big issue. But before I get to that, when you talk about stealing your own stuff, that is very, very interesting. Now, I don't mean to compare you to O.J. Simpson, but O.J. Simpson's complaint was that, how could you charge me for stealing my own stuff? Because the state of California gave me the stuff and they told me that it is your stuff, but then you still charge me that I had gotten it by force and so on. But anyway, that's another story. One, you cannot, as you know, steal your own stuff. That's totally ridiculous and stupid. The definition of theft is when you try to deprive somebody permanently of their property. That is what theft is. What they did to you in trying to charge you for stealing your own property, that's phishing. They clearly have an animus against you, and they were trying to see if they can make something stick. But on the more important, the important one about settling things out of court. First of all, for me, for somebody in those circumstances to use evidence which was being exchanged and what was being said between the parties in an attempt to settle it, for somebody to use that and take it to the police, to begin with, that's an abuse of process by that person before we even get to the people who decide to prosecute you, okay? That person should be told, you do not waste time to come to report something like this. And if it had been one of those cases where actually the police spend money to come to the scene, they should be charging that person with the expenditure of public resources to try and deal with that. But more importantly, I think yesterday you really covered the issue regarding settlement out of court. Now, what a lot of people might not realize is that of all the cases that are brought in court, very few of them ever go to trial. In Toronto, where I am, the estimate is that only about 3% of the cases that are filed actually go to trial. The reason, there are many reasons. Some people get tired and they withdraw them. But even more often is the fact that once each party has made its case, provided the preliminary evidence, they get a bit more of a better idea of whether they can win or not. They also start to get tired. And the courts, as you said yesterday, they encourage you, settle it, go to mediation or whatever it is. And what they do is, once they encourage you to settle it, then the law kicks in. The law says anything that you disclose or admit in the process of that negotiation is without prejudice. Nobody, like you said yesterday, can now later on come and say, well, but he said this, she offered me this, because that's what you are supposed to do in an attempt to settle a matter out of court. And usually courts are very, very, very harsh on anybody who refuses to settle a matter out of court. For example, if the other side offered you $2,000 to settle the matter, and then you win the case, but you only get $200, then they say, okay, you've won the case, but we won't give you costs because you could have settled it much earlier. So for me, what you said yesterday, you mean that they are charging you for trying to bribe somebody? Is that what is happening?
That's one of the charges, yes. Because they say that the negotiations, I mean, like I said, they have not yet summoned me, so I've not seen the actual criminal file, to be clear. But the two charges are trying to perverse the court of justice and bribery. So the only logical explanation is that the email that was sent, the without prejudice email, was an attempt to bribe him. I don't know what I would have been getting. I don't know what the bribery exactly would have been. But I guess getting him to drop the case is the bribery. Like, I'm not really even understanding that part of it. But yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, first of all, it doesn't fit the description of perverting the course of justice. It doesn't fit bribery, because by its very nature, negotiation to drop a case, you have to tell somebody, if you do this, I'll drop the case. That is the nature of negotiation. That is different from saying, give me the money or I'll shoot. That's very different. Or can you give me this contract? There are 5 bidders on this contract and so on, but if you give it to me, I'll give you 100,000 and so on. That is totally different. The idea of negotiating is to say, in the interest of settling this matter, if you do this, I will do this. That is the nature of a without prejudice negotiation. That is why, in fact, in modern times, they've put all the ADR, alternative dispute resolution. They really encourage that. They say you should understand that some cases are better to just go to somebody, do a little bit of a give and take. I remember when I was doing my mediation course in Cayman, and this guy was saying, you know what? In a lot of times when you are mediating among people, you should identify what the issue is. You will find that one person is claiming $2 million, but actually their problem is not the money. They are more interested in the apology. So what you do is you tell them, you say, look, if we give you $250,000 instead of $2 million, we give you $250,000 with an apology. Would that be good? We are happy to drop the case, if that happens. That is what it is. It is in its nature, yes, it looks like it's bribery, but it is a negotiation. It's a give and take.
Yeah, it's very run-of-the-mill civil negotiations. And in fact, in other defamation cases that have been settled, in one instance, the apology letter that people would have seen published, the party themselves said, well, we want to write the apology letter ourselves. And I thought, okay, who does that? I mean, is that really an apology? But it's all about semantics, you see. It's all about looking a certain way in public. So the general public did not realize that I didn't write the apology letter. Is it really an apology letter if I never even wrote it? So they wrote it, and then we just published it. So it's almost like it was an editorial when you really think about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because what you're trying to do, you're trying to say, okay, fine, we don't want to have too much of a back and forth about we write this, you take this out. Yeah. What kind of apology would you like? So you give it to them, and then they write it, and then you say, oh, is this what you want? Yes, okay, it's okay with us. We published it. So, yeah, but it's a shame. I hope that they don't. I hope they don't proceed with this thing they're trying to do.
There's another one where the other party actually said that there were court proceedings. There were stories about the court proceedings that were published, and they wanted those articles taken down. Because what I find, and this is really interesting, even as it relates to John Felder, is people are trying to erase the traces of themselves on social media or on the web, on the super highway, internet highway, whatever we're calling it these days. When somebody Googles and searches their name, they do not want these traces to come up of who they actually are, especially when you're in the business of scamming people. Because once somebody Googles your name, some people, that's all they do in terms of a reference check. They're not using the proper systems and protocols that one would do a proper background check. So they just use Google and these search engines. And if you put in John Felder's name, you find these articles that CMR has written about him, about his less than stellar reputation. So, of course, when he first filed his civil suit, the very first thing that the judge will order as an interim, measure is for the offending article, or the article that is part of the lawsuit, to be taken down. Yeah. So you get that like a Mareva injunction sort of thing, right? And that's what was done. It was taken down on the instruction of the judge. Now, if he does not win his case, and can I tell you something that is so incredibly interesting, is it wasn't until yesterday when I started to think about what had transpired. I was obviously freshly back on island. And I started to have a look at the website. And I said, oh my gosh, although he lost the lawsuit, I never put the articles back. So the original articles, there was 2 of them that were the subject of his, it was actually one article and then a subsequent one about the legal proceedings. The judge said to take that one down as well. They were never made live back on the website again. And that was quite an oversight on my part. They were actually private, so you couldn't find them. And I said, oh, well, since we're now in the business of trying to silence the media, and I've recognized that I've actually made a mistake and forgot to put these articles back, let me now take the opportunity to put them back. So these articles were re-added yesterday. Yep. So Mr. Felder, in fact, is not doing himself any favors, because now he is reminding me and highlighting certain things like, oh, by the way, you still owe me $50,000, which you have ignored the grand court judgment and you've refused to pay. So now
for the cost, which is content,
So I'm now actively pursuing, and I guess they'll call that bribery too, but I'm now actively pursuing remedies to enforce that against him. That is a grand court order which this man has ignored. Is that not a criminal offense? You know,
well, it is a criminal offense.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, I don't expect our police to do anything about it. One final note before I let you go.
Sure.
So, you know, as like I said, I'm having a think about this in my head, and you know how it is. It might sometimes takes a minute for these things to settle in on the brain.
Yeah.
And so I discussed this yesterday on the show about the Evita Dixon case, and how the police had approached me because the 2 members of the DPP's office, both prosecutors, filed a criminal complaint saying that, I reported against them in, you know, a story, and also that I did a podcast, and they didn't like the content of it. And so therefore that amounts to criminal, apparently, a criminal allegation. The police officer came to me and said, we have—
Is this something new? So sorry, is this new?
This was last year. Yeah. I hadn't really—
Last year, okay.
I briefly mentioned it in passing, but like I said, you know, there's such a thing as, I keep talking about this Barbara Streisand effect. Unintended consequences. So when you highlight something, or when you try to hide something, what you end up doing is highlighting it even more. So I've not gone deep into this, but now I'm going to do a whole story on this, because it is worth putting it for the record in writing. The police came to me, yes, and said, we have a complaint from Darlene Oku and Emma Hutchinson about this article and this other thing. We need to come and speak with you. But I said, speak with me how? Are you wanting to conduct a police interview? No. This is not a police interview. We just want to speak with you. I said, given my experiences with the police, I trust you as far as I can throw you, and I can't throw you even 1 inch. Yeah? Which means I don't trust you at all. So I called up my lawyer. Okay, let's meet with them. Sitting in her office, they had a proposal for me. We have received, according to them, a quote unquote independent recommendation that you be charged. Because it related, the complainants are 2 people in the DPP's office. I guess if they said the word independent, they thought we would actually believe that it was someone removed from the situation. We asked who was the independent person that made such a recommendation. They would not say. However, we suspect it was actually Patrick Moran. Hardly independent. Hardly independent. The former prosecutor who was the former head of the DPP's office, who was a subject
accused of racism,
amongst other things, a toxic work environment, featured on CMR, is probably the person who made the ruling on that file. Because remember now, government has him hush-hush in some department that we can't even confirm where he works, but he's on the government payroll, making a salary as an advisor to them. Comprehend that, after having left his other position, which by most accounts he was disgraced under, right? So this independent advisor recommended that they, make this charge. All right, okay, that's interesting. So why are we here? Oh, we're here because we have an offer for you. If you remove the offending article and you remove the offending podcast, we will not charge you.
Isn't that bribery?
Hello?
Isn't that bribery?
Yes. So, I mean, if we're going to use that definition in a civil case, certainly it would apply. And I said yesterday, I emailed the commissioner and I said, sir, with all due respect, and yes, I'm going to be a little bit salty here, this situation looks more like bribery than what I did. So how do I go now about making a complaint against your officer who came to me and made an offer, put an offer on the table right in front of an attorney at law, that if I did something, if I remove content off of my website, off of my platform, I would not feel criminal charges, despite you telling me that someone has recommended that criminal charges be filed, that I be charged? You have it make sense. And I'm still waiting on the commissioner's response and how I now get that police officer charged with bribery. Because if I've been charged with bribery and trying to perverse the course of justice, then so should he. Because listen, this is what I said to him at the time. I said, officer, with all due respect, if you actually have a case and you think that the legal advice that you've received in relation to charging me is accurate and I have done something wrong, even I would want you to charge me. Because what are you saying to me? That you're out there negotiating with people who have committed crimes in your opinion or the opinion of an attorney advising the DPP's office, but yet you're happy to make it slide if they do something that you're okay with, if they remove content? I said, it sounds to me like what this is all about is trying to muzzle the media, which is a very serious allegation. And that's what you're in the business of. Amelia actually had to say to him, because the comments in the article was surrounding, again, reporting on that Evita Dixon case, she had to say to him, have you actually seen the transcripts? Was this so-called opinion from whomever based on someone who had taken the time to read the court transcripts? Because in essence, all Mrs. Hill was doing was reporting what happened in court. And now you all are saying that that is also a criminal offense? What next?
You see, this is rubbish. You see, court cases, for example, are covered. Any fair and accurate report of a proceeding in a court of law is not actionable. You can even express an opinion within certain limits. What they forget, these people conveniently, is that under Section 11 of the Constitution, there's freedom of expression. Freedom of expression actually is freedom not just to express ideas, but also to receive ideas, to spread ideas. That is what it gives you. And then, yes, there are some derogations to it, some exceptions to it. But those exceptions have to be authorized by law in the interest of defense, public safety, public order. And in addition, they must be reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. That's why I do hope, I don't know if you've appealed your case, the one that you were convicted on.
Well, I'm still
I
waiting
would wish
on them
that
to give me transcripts. I'm still waiting on the courts. I've requested transcripts. It was denied because they claimed that I don't need the transcripts for my appeal. And I said, actually, yes, I do. The transcripts are pivotal to me actually proving that, yes, the transcripts are pivotal to me proving the merits of my case before the Court of Appeal. So I've gone back.
No. Can you say that again for me? No. Say that again to me. They said you told them you want to appeal, and they are saying they can't give you your own transcripts of your own proceedings.
In order for me to appeal, I have said I require the transcripts of the Grand Court hearing, which was held in over multiple days. They have denied. They have said that they cannot give me a copy of the transcripts. Okay. I think I have one transcript of one particular hearing, but not the substantive case. They cannot give me a copy of that because it is not required. I need to prove that I need it for my case. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? How else am I going to appeal? How else am I going to make reference to very specific things that make the basis for my appeal if I do not have the transcripts handy? But you know what? The transcripts show, and people would be shocked to hear the things that even Miss Darlene Oku, the prosecutor, was going on with during this trial. And, in the name of, I don't even know what, sometimes we let things slide when we really shouldn't. And I think in this particular case, you know, this had gone on for years and years and years, and I was just over it. I was like, you know what, I just need to try to move on with my life. And there's a lot of things that she did and a lot of allegations that she made that the judge dismissed. But it is still important because at some point we also have to hold these prosecutors responsible for their behavior. And there's zero accountability in this country when it comes to prosecutors. None of them are ever held to account. And that is unfortunate. They do a lot of things sometimes, including pursuing cases that they know they cannot win and that they know that is not in the public interest. And they have an obligation. When you go to the DPP's website, you will see where, I'm going to actually pull it up so I can refresh people's memory here, that they have an obligation not just to seek a conviction, but to seek justice.
Yes. You know the old cliche. You do not persecute. You prosecute. You do not persecute.
Yeah. Here is the quote. You go to their website, dpp.gov.ky. Welcome to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. The duty of the prosecuting counsel is not to obtain convictions at all costs, but to act as a minister of justice. And a lot of them are not acting as ministers of justice because they know that these cases will be thrown out and they have no merit and they're still pursuing them. That is not a minister of justice.
You see, that's not the. It means then you're trying to prosecute people rather than prosecute them. You see, look, the reason they don't want to give you, it's appalling actually that you want to appeal the matter and they tell you that you don't need it. It is not their judgment to make. It is your judgment to make. And the reason you get a record is also to assess what grounds upon which you are going to appeal. You have a right under the Constitution, Section 11, to receive that information because it relates to you. This is the thing that happened to one judicial officer. I won't call her name, a friend of mine. You know, she used to work in the judiciary and then she left. Okay. And then there was a story that they were trying to prosecute her for something, like the judiciary was trying to prosecute her. And then she said, "Can you give me that information?" And they refused to give her that information. You know, she went to the ombudsman. At that time, it was Jennifer Dilbert. This is way back. And Jennifer Dilbert, as the information commissioner, she ruled that this information relates to her and she is entitled to have it. So on so many counts, both because it relates to you, it relates to your proceedings, it is your protection that you have to receive and give information under Section 11 of the Constitution. They should give it to you. And when I get that decision from the ombudsman, and I hope that I will win, that will be very relevant and it can be cited also in your case, and I'll bring it to your attention and to the attention of your viewers. This is also what happened to me in the same case, not to go on about it, the same case that I sued the judge. In addition to the emails that I had, which proved that I had requested this hearing in advance, there was also a Zoom hearing which took place 4 months before the hearing. Okay, and I told him, I said, that was recorded. I want a copy of that because that will also prove that I had initially requested this hearing 4 months in advance. Again, they refused to give it to me. But do you know why they refused to give it to me? Because they knew that it was going to prove what I was saying. That is why, in the end, I took the matter to the ombudsman. I just hope that all these matters from the ombudsman, if they are decided, at least some of them in my favor, they will really help with the rights that the public have, the rights that CMR and all other media houses have, to be able to receive information, to give information, to have people sort of have a chance really to go to hold public offices accountable. I thank you, Sandy. I thank you. This is a very, very good exchange and so on. Thanks very much. We'll talk again soon.
All right, my dear. Thank you so much. 936 Bobo is the telephone number, folks. I know that call was a little bit longer than expected, but you know, there's bits and pieces of this that really have got to, people have to understand, because one of the most interesting things about the justice system and the judiciary is you don't appreciate how important these things are until you're on the receiving end of it all. And one day, I know y'all think that's impossible, but one day it could very well be your turn. So pay attention a little bit, because some of this stuff you might be able to recall as something that was important and actually worth your while. Yes, honey chill. So we continue the conversation. I see some of you mentioning in the comment section that Cayman Airways had to turn around because of a medical emergency. A passenger may have had some sort of a seizure on the plane. We hope that if that is the case, that the individual is okay. And we'll continue to obviously update that as we have more details. We're also aware of an accident that has happened this morning. So this accident is by the education center, is what I'm understanding. Let me just pull this up and show you guys. It's a bit shocking, really. But somebody's taken out 2-car accident, and someone has managed to take out a light pole. Whew, I don't know how y'all do it, but wow. So the light pole is literally in the middle of the road right now. Let me just show you this. Can y'all just be careful? I often wonder where you've gotten your driver's licenses from. This time of morning, rush hour traffic, slow down. Where you going in a hurry? But look at that light pole knocked over. Looks like one of those little minis, and now blocking the roadway. So this happened during the last call that we just received. Where's Education Center? I don't know where Education Center is. That's Cayman Business Park. Is Education Center in there? I don't even know what Education Center is. But anyway, right by Cayman Business Park. So just be careful. That's all I can tell y'all. We'll see what happens. There was a hit and run a couple days ago. Somebody contacted us about that. This lady was a victim in that situation. And she said that the person left the scene of the accident. So when she called the police told her to just contact her insurance company. And I said, what? I said, someone leaving the scene of an accident is actually a criminal offense. It's a traffic offense at the very minimum. So that person can be, arrested and taken to court and whatever. She said, no, the officer told her none of that would happen, to just contact the insurance company. I'm like, Lord Jesus. I don't make this stuff up, folks. I only report on it. Anyway, what a thing. So, yep, that accident. Somebody sent me another picture of it. Ooh, honey child, they're lucky in that little mini. I'm surprised that little mini did so much damage to the CUC pole. But it goes to show you, those poles are actually I think they're meant to now break, because the concrete poles that we used to have, which are pretty tough, were more likely to break you and your car than the actual pole, and that would cause more loss of life. I think these metal poles are more pliable in the sense that they're meant to break once there's impact, so that there's less impact on it distributes the force differently between the objects that are coming in contact with each other. So there it is. Yeah, what a hot mess. Hopefully all parties are okay and there are no serious injuries to report. A lot of people asking about that last caller and his name. It's Mr. Simamba Belika. I hope I get his name correct. He is an attorney at law. I believe he now lives overseas in Canada, and he has worked and lived in the Cayman Islands, notably where he was actually a employee for the government in the legal drafter's office. He was part of that would fall under the Attorney General's office, as I understand. All right. So bits of information there that we're receiving in real time. And of course, we like to share that with you. Okay, Hill Construction says probably speed. I mean, this time of morning, I don't know where you're speeding off to. Damien says that can buff and wax and good to go. I doubt that, honey chow. All right, let's move on. Good morning to Toby and others. Thank you guys so much. Aliano's here. Liana, lots and lots of people watching the program as usual this morning. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's move on to this Uber taxi conundrum of a situation. So there requires some clarification here. And I want to be very, very clear. Someone is commenting about the pole. Oh, yes. This person says these are aluminum poles and they're only used for street lighting. As cement poles are hollow inside, designed to collapse. Oh, maybe I had it the opposite way then. So aluminum poles are only used for street lighting. So they don't carry any live electrical wires. Like they're not used to go from one wire to the next. Is that right? Well, what are the pole? Oh, only used for lighting. So that's why, like on the Linford Pearson bypass, they're all aluminum poles because they're just lights. So they're actually not carrying electricity to any of the homes, whatever. Oh, thank you to that person who's obviously an expert in the electricity business. Appreciate it. Good to know. You learn something every day, folks, if you're willing to. Okay. So someone contacted me the other day saying to me, and I'll read you if I can find the comments here, that the first comment was that the DART organization is moving in on the tourist, the taxi business. Now, I must admit that when I first heard that, I thought that doesn't make any sense. I don't know where people get their ideas about the DART organization. To be quite frank, I understand his business model quite a bit. And I understand strategically that sometimes you get in a business, like, you know, he's in the landscaping business, for example. He's had his own private nursery. He doesn't sell to other people, as far as I know, but he's had his own private nursery from day one, because here's a man, and I say a man, I mean an organization that comes in and they have a 45-year plan, right? They get pads approved for different elements of their project, this big 45, 50-year plan. We're going to do Cayman Bay. We're going to do this structure, that structure. One of the things that they need a lot of are actually plants. And I know this sounds crazy, but follow the logic here. Oh, we got a caller in the line. Good morning, caller.
Hi there. I'm Thomas Birmingham. I'm the commenter.
Okay, we haven't. Can I ask you to wait, because I need to get some of the background information out there before we probably start digging into the complaint a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So just hang tight. We're gonna come back to you there, Thomas.
All
right. So Thomas has identified himself as a person who set the comments. So hold on a second now. We're gonna get to you, Thomas. Hold on. So having a nursery actually kind of makes sense, because you're building a lot of properties and infrastructure, and you can start propagating your plants 10, 15, 20 years out to be full grown plants. He has all kind of what do they call the plant experts again? Oh God, culturists. What's the proper name for a plant expert? Anyway, they've got oh my God, hold on. Anyway, he's got all those people on hand, right? He has quite interestingly enough, plant. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. He's got all these people on. He's got all of these people on, not a botanist, but a horticulturist. That's the word I'm looking for. Yes. So he's got all these people, he's got the retail side of things. They do liquor retail. So he has bought into the liquor retail business. And so it's interesting how he's gotten into some types of businesses, right? Blackbeard Liquor, which has, do they still do Blackbeard's rum cakes and stuff as well? I guess they do. They had a bakery and stuff. Was, one of the smaller wholesalers, distributors of liquor. I think they were even bottling their own liquor and whatever as well. He got into that business. I don't quite know what the logic was, but I suspect and this is a thing that I find very, very interesting when people want to say, well, DART's taken over this industry or this business. It's normally because a Caymanian has gone to DART, who is in financial trouble, and said, I need financing, I need help. Prime example. Everybody believes that DART owns media. Oh, he's, bought the Compass is one rumor that's flying around there. Oh, he owns CNS. I guess y'all will soon start saying that DART bought Cayman Mall Road, right? You say these things and it comes from a position of lack of information and lack of knowledge and understanding of how these things even work. Follow this logic. When Randy Marin wanted to purchase Cayman 27, which was already a non-profitable business, he went to DART, who apparently offers financing. And I've told you guys this before. The DART organization offers financing to their employees for houses. And you get a preferential rate that no bank in the Cayman Islands can offer you, right? I know of Caymanians. Trust me, firsthand knowledge, many, many years, senior HR managers and all kind of stuff. They have gotten their homes, not because they went to a traditional bank and qualified, but because they worked for the DART organization and they give them a house loan, 15, 20 years, whatever the case may be, preferential rate, and they're able to purchase homes. Waterfront properties, in one case, the person that I'm thinking about was able to purchase a waterfront property because of the DART organization. So when Randy goes to DART and says, oh, I need money to buy Cayman 27, don't ask why you're buying something that you can't afford. But anyway, it is what it is. The DART organization says, okay, we'll loan you the money. And of course, I'm sure it comes with interest rates and other terms and conditions. One of the terms and conditions that I'm sure that it came with is you have to move your business into Cayman Bay. And that is why Hurley's Media moved into Cayman Bay. Because, oh gosh, I almost spilled my water. Because the DART organization ultimately are in the business of business. They're no fools. So, okay, you need our help. You need help financing. Well, we got this retail space or we got this office space here that we would love to have filled. And I know for a fact that there are people in the Cayman Bay structure who get preferential deals on rent, because it's not always about, oh, we're going to make a profit on the space. It's about, let's just fill the space, right? Let's fill the space, because having empty spaces doesn't look good for any office space, any retail space, whatever. Let us fill it. And sometimes that means a little quid pro quo, like we'll fill it. You get a loan, we'll fill it. You pay, reduce rent until you start to make money, if that ever happens. And then we'll reevaluate in a year or two what it is that you're going to pay for rent, et cetera, et cetera. So they do a lot of behind the scenes, which is kind of run of the mill business negotiations. Now, I'm saying this to preface what it is that I'm going to say next, which is actually really, really important. Did you guys see the post? I was actually looking for it this morning. I don't know where I put it, but about there is this research now where the more someone says something, repeating misinformation, but the more you say it, the more it makes it believable. There was actually a study done. I'm just trying to find. Oh, yes, here it is. This was an article in Big Think. It's called Truth by Repetition. And here's what it said. No matter how outrageous repeated lies become the truth. Let me repeat that again, because I need to say it very, very slowly. No matter how outrageous repeated lies become the truth. It's one of the biggest ways that propaganda is spread. You just keep repeating it, whether it's COVID propaganda, whether it's propaganda against DART, whether it's propaganda against CMR, whatever the propaganda is, the more you repeat it, the more you put it out in the public domain, the more it becomes truth for the vast majority of people. Truth by repetition is what it is called. It becomes important, and it's a point that we will come to again and again. Yeah? So let me tell you now to the caller, he'll call back in just a second here, but let me try to explain to you. There's lots of research on this. You can go to Cognitive Research Journal, The Effects of Repetition Frequency and the Illusionary Truth Effect, because it's not the truth, but there's an illusion that it is the truth folks, if you're interested in really understanding how the human brain works and why we accept certain things that we accept, this is one of those concepts you need to look up. The more people say it, the more it becomes their reality and the more that they believe it. That still doesn't factually make it correct. So I'm going to give you a perfect example of how, as it relates to this Uber situation, this is precisely what's going on here. All right, stick with me because we need to get there. And we're going to get there in a second. All right. So, got a message about the DART organization saying DART is moving in on the taxi business. Thought it was peculiar, but hey, I'm not part of the DART senior management team. So I'm like, I highly doubt that for more reasons than one. The taxi business is not a profitable business. I don't know who told you all that. It might have been profitable in the 80s and early 90s, but it is so oversaturated. We have, I think, must be close to 400 or more taxi drivers in Cayman. You do the math. It's not what it's cracked up to be. And every Tom, Dick, Harry, Samantha, Ebanks, Powell, Solomon, everybody wants to get into the taxi business because there's an illusion that it is a profitable business for you to sit on your behind all day and drive up and down people all over the place. It is not. You've got tour buses, you've got taxis, you've got, all these different segments of public transport. Now we have some questions for public transport department and a different unrelated set of questions that I can't get to that discussion yet because I need to reach out to public transport for some answers. Okay. So we're seeking answers here and we're seeking the truth. So this young man has admitted that he called. I mean, I wasn't going to out him, but since he wants to take the credit for it, he said on Monday that he's calling in regards to DART moving in to take over the taxi industry in the Cayman Islands and make a lot of Caymanians very unemployed and replace with Filipino labor. And for the record, I mean, let's be fair. DART doesn't tend to hire Filipino laborers. You know who's hiring Filipino laborers? Your own Caymanian who owns Fads or whatever it's called. Is it Fads? At the airport. Frankie Flowers' organization loves to hire Filipinos and Asian workers because I guess he gets them extremely cheap. That's not DART. So if you want to talk about who's hiring Filipinos, look at some of your other Caymanians. And there's nothing wrong in principle with hiring Filipinos, but if that's the crime, I wouldn't point to the DART organization and say that they're the ones who are doing that. Anyway, let me carry on. This young man says that he's waited over a year for permission from public transport unit to start up his new company. And all of a sudden, DART now has a dispatch app, is advertising that he's cheaper than taxis, which is a lie, using people and permits that were brought into the island so that he can undercut us and put us out of work. And this was my response. DART? He has a taxi company? I mean, literally, that's what I wrote. I was like, huh? Say what? And they said, you might have admired his new advertising campaign that started up yesterday called Island Ride. He purchased a bunch of high-end SUVs and is calling them a limousine service and marketing it as cheaper than taxis. I said, okay, well, I haven't seen it. And I said, where is it advertised? They send a link on Facebook. They go on to say, make no mistake, this is one effort by DART to destroy Caymanian small businesses. There are many campaigns in this industry that take care of their families. I don't know what that means, but they're going to be deprived of their livelihood and income and replaced with cheap immigrant labor. I need this stopped for me and my people immediately. Public transportation made me wait over a year and a half before I could even proceed with my company. I put in my entire life savings until launching my business just so I could have my stuff taken away from me so that a greedy rich man can steal. Okay. So let me set the record straight before y'all begin to comment. DART does not own the company that is being referred to, and he has no interest in public transport. So this Island Ride, I think is what it's being called, is not a DART organization, a DART company. He's not financed them. He has nothing to do with it. Someone else in the taxi business also contacted me and said, Sandra, please, what's going off in my house? We have an alarm going off. What is that all about? And said, smoke detector, and said that every time I start talking, it starts going off, and said that, oh, you know, this is a situation as well. We have concerns about this. And I thought, this just doesn't make any sense. There's something wrong with this. Let me start to ask some questions. The logical place to start is a DART organization. I asked them straight up, do you own limousines, taxis, Ubers, whatever the heck you want to call it? The DART organization's like, no, we're not in the taxi business. We have no interest. We don't finance anybody. That's not our thing at all. I thought, okay. And let me check around some more. You know, maybe there's always, everybody believes there's always a conspiracy at hand. So people say, well, you can't believe them, Sandy. Okay, well, let's dig deeper. Majestic Tours, which is a Caymanian-owned business, are the ones who actually own this island. What's it being called? Island what? Island, hold on. This new service. Hold on, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to get the proper name. Whatever it's being called right now. Now, here is why some of you are confused and erroneously believing that the DART organization has some hand in this. And this is why it is important to ask questions. It is important to cross-check and verify and get information. And believe me, when I tell you, if anybody can get to the bottom of a situation, it is definitely CMR. I suspect in a former life, I might have been a detective. Do you believe in reincarnation? I must have been related to Sherlock Holmes, honey child, because I can do some digging. This is what I know. Many, many moons ago, and it was so long ago, right, that people can't even remember when it was, there was a company called Kurt C. Tours. Oh, we have a caller. Caller, good morning. You're on air.
Good morning.
Hello, honey child.
Hi, I'm touching base with you to see what you're up to today. See if I can probably send the bearer to you.
You're gonna send what? Sorry.
I want to send the bearer to you to drop off something.
Oh, are you sending me ice cream today?
Yes, ma'am.
Which flavor? Grape nut?
Grape nuts.
Lord have mercy. How am I gonna ever lose 50 pounds with friends like you? Well,
okay.
You're gonna send him, you're gonna make him deliver it to the house, or where are we getting ice cream today?
I can send it to your house.
Yeah, I'll send you the details.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
All right. Somebody wants to give me ice cream today, honey chill. Grape nut flavored, no doubt. All right. And I'm actually going to donate it. I will not be eating it. I'm going to donate to some kids. So if you've got some kids who love grape nut, link me. Because I'm trying to lose 50 pounds, not gain another 50. Okay. So here we go, folks. Kurt C. Tours approached the DART organization. And like I said, this was a really long time ago. Hello, caller.
Hi there, Sandra. This is Thomas Birmingham, the taxi driver calling back.
Hold on, Thomas. We're not quite done with the facts yet.
Okay.
All right. So give me a second, and then I want you to call back. Okay, hon?
Okay.
All right. Very good. All right. So Kurt C. Tours, owned by Caymanian, had some really nice tour buses and started to get in trouble. I keep telling y'all Caymanians about getting in a business when you don't do the research and you don't check out the cost of things and the cost of doing business and all this other stuff, but y'all love to jump in business. So go ahead, jump in business, because then apparently the only person you can turn to get bailed out and financial help when you have no other options is a DART organization. They approached the DART organization, Kurt C. Tours, and said, my apologies, we're having some issues. We need some money. We need some financing, Uncle Dart. I wonder if I can get Dart to finance something for me, but I don't need anything. Gosh, do I need some new equipment that I can claim I need for CMR and be like, Dart, Uncle Dart, can I get like $100 million? So being what it is, the DART organization agreed to a joint venture with them and to help them out. That relationship didn't last long, but the joint venture between Kurt C. Tours and the DART organization became a company called Island Tours Limited. Follow me now, all right? And in fact, we could go and see if Island Tour Limited is still around, but my understanding is this is now a defunct company. DART never had any interest in that industry at all. So at some point, they approached Majestic. This is the world of business now. Pay attention. They approached Majestic, who I guess between them and Webster's are the biggest providers on island of tours and taxis and whatever. And they said, listen, we need to get out of this Island Tours Limited arrangement. That's not our business. We don't want to be in it. We're just trying to help out Kurt C Tours. This ain't working out for us. Can you buy out the partnership, the shares, whatever? And that's exactly what they did. So Majestic bought it out. Yes? So they bought into Island Tours Limited. And over at Majestic, we have Ronnie and Nigel. And they took that over. Now, Majestic Tours has been around, I understand, since 1985. They have a limo fleet for over 15 years. They do tour buses, etc. What is ruffling people's feathers? So fact number one, Majestic Tours has nothing to do with the DART organization. The DART organization has nothing to do with Majestic Tours. Island Tours, right, which originally was a partnership between Kirk C Tours and the DART organization, went defunct a long time ago. Majestic bought in and took over DART's ownership, shares, whatever it was, in Island Tours Limited. DART exited that situation rather quickly. Okay? Are we clear? All right, let's move on. Let's progress the factual nexus of where we need to get to. Majestic Tours has now decided to expand what they're doing with technology. And you know what is so interesting about this? Y'all know I just went to New York, and one of the most fascinating things I saw in New York wasn't Uber, but it's how the taxis are now trying to organize themselves and have developed this app that you can book a taxi, you can pay for it, the whole 9 yards. So the first day I get into a couple of taxis and I'm like, oh, okay. So this is how taxis are now. It's the app is called Curb. And you all know I'm all about technology, honey child. So I'm sitting there in the back of the taxi. They have a little screen. And on the screen, it keeps saying, oh, download the Curb app and you can book your taxi and you can pay. And I'm like, So by the second day, honey child, I'm going to show you all the app right here on my phone. I downloaded it. Oh, we're sorry. There's a temporary network problem. That's because I'm outside the area. But anyway. And then through this Curb app, all the yellow taxis in New York are pretty much part of this. Y'all can see, show you here, little map and everything. You can't, it's not connected to their network anymore, right? And obviously there's no Curb taxis in Cayman Islands. But all of a sudden now I can go online, I can book a taxi. It actually shows me where the taxi's at in real time, how it's getting to me. So like one evening I booked a taxi and I was like, man, this guy's running late. I could see exactly where he was. Oh, he's 5 minutes out and he's on 6th Avenue in Times Square. I'm like, okay. And it shows the movement of the taxi when he's estimated to be able to get to me. When he gets to me, I have the Pay and Go Curb app installed on my phone. So I link, when it gets in, it says, oh, this is the Curb number. Link this to your app. If I hadn't pre-ordered him, I just jumped into a taxi, I can link it. And then it tells me, when I'm jumping out the car, I just press pay. Do I want to tip him? You have to tip him apparently. 15%, 20%, 25%, or you can customize how much you want to tip him. And I just hit pay and boom, that's it. I'm on my way. So hold on a second now. Hold on, y'all blowing up the phone. Hold on, Miss Darlene. Let me finish explaining this bit. So what Majestic Tours has done is they have introduced, and it's not really all that strange that someone would finally do this, they have introduced an app that is going to make booking car service easier to do. Here's the mistake and the misinformation that you guys have put out there. It's in part because apparently someone put up a social media post talking about, oh, this is Cayman's Uber, and they're going to be cheaper than taxis and whatever. That is completely misinformation, and it's wrong. Then the Compass did an article where they referred to it as Uber, but y'all did not read the Compass article, apparently. Well, neither do I, because nobody wants to pay the Compass to read their article, so it's no wonder you're not reading it. But my understanding is the Compass article never said it was Uber. They just use the term Uber in quotes in the actual headline, because that's the closest thing that they can think about when they think of like being able to reserve, use an app or whatever. It's Uber. Well, clearly they've not been to New York recently. They've not gotten a taxi, and they've not used the curb thing, because the regular taxi, yellow taxis now have an app too, because they have to remain relevant and they have to compete with Uber. So just like you can go on Uber and you can book a thing. Listen, I use an Uber because I told you Marlon's cousin lives in upstate New York, and she messaged me in the morning. She says, "Oh, I'm going to send a driver for you." Now, I thought she was going to send me a posh, personal driver, because she does actually own a security detailing company as well. And they provide security for dignitaries all over the world, especially Middle Eastern dignitaries. I thought, oh, I'm going to get first class service, honey child. That was an Uber. One little man in Uber who came and picked up Gianna and I, and we took the hour drive up further north into, upstate New York and whatever. Got to see a nice scenic route on the way, just a regular Uber. And I was like, oh, okay. So she just booked it online. And it shows her where he's at, that I've been picked up. It can GPS trace everything. These apps exist, and they've existed for a minute, and I don't know what the big deal is. Now, here's the other thing, the bit of misinformation. Hold on, Thomas. I'm coming to you. Hold on. Hold the line.
Oh, I think that you've had a very good period of time to have your discussion, lay down your facts. I would like a small opportunity to retort. I've waited over an hour for this.
Well, Thomas, it might be important for you to actually hear the facts.
It's my livelihood and the livelihood of 400 of your fellow Caymanians. Yes.
Okay. So this service that Majestic is going to be offering is a private car boutique service that
I love that fancy word, boutique. All right. What they are offering right now is I had to wait, as my fellow Caymanians have to wait, over 1 year to get our taxi license.
Well, what does that have to do with Majestic Tours?
We are issued one vehicle. These people are allowed a pest dispenser of vehicles. On top of that, they are allowed to go and pull in people with just a 3-week notice on work permits. All right. They have an advertising campaign that's been launched. It's very good. I wonder where they got their financing, their business, for all those wonderful new vehicles and all those people and the software and investment. I mean, that's a very big thing. It wasn't even discussed at any public platform. Public transportation unit won't even discuss it with us when the issuance of their license came through. Right now, 400 Caymanians, it starts off small right now, but I'll let you know, when they launched Uber in the United States, there were taxi drivers that killed themselves over the loss of their business. All right, this will destroy in time as it slowly begins small, like cancer does, and grow till it erodes and destroys people's livelihoods, miss. This is a serious problem.
And your beef is with who?
My beef is with the government issuing a business license for this. Now, the differentiation of using their semantics and the ambiguity of the terms between taxi and limo services. Limos lease for periods of time, all right? Not for destination to destination. So that's number one. These people are offering a taxi service, and they're just simply recategorizing it as a limo service so that they can skate around the edge of the law.
Okay, and that's not even what this is, because they've been providing limo services.
They've been providing limo services where you normally rent a limo for an evening. All right, this isn't renting a limo for an evening. This is calling a cab to just be dispatched from going from one place to another. They're not renting for time. They're renting from distance from one destination to another using CIGO's taxiways.
Right. And so
this is a taxi service by any other name.
Let me ask you this. Even if that is true, and I'm going to explain the distinction here in a second. Even if that is true, Majestic Tours is owned by Caymanians. What do you want the government to do? Say that these Caymanians shouldn't have a bite at the apple, and others should?
These Caymanians,
saying that Caymanian businesses should not be able to grow to a certain size?
Oh, listen, it's not a matter of growing to a certain size. This is unfair business competition.
So
you want these are placing restrictions on us as Caymanians operating as taxi licensed drivers. while at the same time not placing the same burdens on these other individuals who I'm going to even boldly suggest might have made a backroom deal with their friends.
Well, you can boldly suggest that, but I would say to you that that's the kind of thing that lands you in court, because that would be a defamatory statement if it's not true.
That's yeah. You can never prove these things down here.
Okay. All right. That's your contribution this morning. That's what you.
That's my contribution. I'd like my
right.
Caymanian people to know exactly what's happening and what this is they're up against.
Appreciate it.
Now, there's every time they take one of our jobs, it's a job that's not coming back.
Okay. Well, he hung up, honey chill. All right. So let's continue discussing based on facts. Yes, I know. Sometimes they're so inconvenient. However, they are very, very important. I have spoken to Majestic Tours to understand what this Uber-like business is supposed to be. All they have done is, and by the way, they've gone through the same process of applying for their licenses with public transport. There's different categories of licensees within public transport. Although they all share a taxi license plate, they pay different fees. And they've actually requested that public transport think about changing, because apparently even a school bus has a taxi license plate, which doesn't make any sense to me, but that's how the system works, right? So tour buses, school buses, they all have the same because they are licensed by public transport. And within public transport, there are different types of licenses, but those licenses don't match up with the license plate that you actually issued, which is a little bit antiquated, and somebody perhaps needs to address that. So the confusion when someone says, well, I don't know, how they got a license and what they had to do, that's part of the problem. And you can't always speak on it if you don't know what they had to go through. Who told you that Majestic didn't have to wait a year and a half to get their license, or even longer? You don't know that, and you would be sorely mistaken to think that somehow they worked a backdoor deal and they got an expedited license. They went through the process just like everybody else. And this is what they have said, that their service, which is erroneously being compared to Uber, the only reason I suspect the Compass is calling it Uber is because they send the title Mini Uber because they have an app. Doesn't public transport have an app for taxis as well that y'all are supposed to be using? Somebody said, who he be, child? I don't know. Sometimes you don't do yourself a favor when you call into a program like this. I told the same thing to that Dr. Rado over at Cayman Doctors Hospital. You call into a program like this and you show your real colors with your friggin' attitude, and you do yourself no favors. Thomas, just now you did yourself no favors. Even Caymanians now messaging me saying, who the F is he? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you take a minute and you really think carefully, not only about your message, but how you want your message delivered. Yeah, just a word of advice. Somebody says he kind of sounds like a donkey. These are the messages that are popping up on my phone right now. This supposed Uber-like service is going to be more expensive than a taxi. What it is designed to do is to the high-end clientele. Say, for example, I'm going to the Ritz, I'm a Kimpton client, and I do not want to deal with a taxi. I don't want to get out of the airport and sit there and wait for a taxi to come. I'm from New York, honey child, and I'm used to the Curb app, and I'm used to seeing on a map exactly where the vehicle is traveling to. It's here in 2 minutes. I'm not on Cayman time. I want a premium service. So no, it's not a limo service. It is a car service that you can order and they will come and pick you up. And you're going to pay a premium price for quote unquote premium service. That doesn't compete with taxi service. If I want a taxi and I'm looking to get the best rate in Cayman, I am not going to call, what's Majestic Tours calling it? Whatever it is, Island Ride or whatever the hell it is. I will not be calling them. They're going to be marketing to a very different clientele. Now, is there space in the industry for this type of niche market? I don't know. I'm not in the taxi industry. And if there's no space, they will fail. That part of their business will fail. Given the size of Majestic, I'm assuming that they've done the calculations. They figured, all right, if it doesn't work, what's the big deal? We have the tour buses. I bet you their tour buses makes the bulk of their money, probably 80%. Limos, probably 10 to 15%, because everybody isn't using a limo every single day. Yeah, maybe even less than that. And this new introduced service, I guess that they'll have to wait and see, you know, how that takes off. To make an assumption that the service level, which they say is not on par and they're not competing with taxis in any way, shape, or form. Well, I guess the argument is since the high-end clientele didn't have an option, that maybe you are in some way, you know, competing for a very small portion of the taxi business. No. Those people would be the people who in advance have their PAs and their assistant arrange with the what's the name of the hotel there, with the Ritz, to send one of those BMWs that the Ritz has for the people who own the con. They would be like, oh, can you just send me one of those, please? You know, I'm not going to sit my nice firm rear end in a taxi, in a regular taxi cab. I've got to share with people. No, that's not going to quite work out for me. I need some premium service. You know, they find another way to get that premium service. A driver. They'll hire a driver to come and pick them up. So that's the business that Majestic Tours is attempting to now expand into, and they're using this app, Island Ride. So it's a sister company to Majestic Tours. Listen, you can't stop competition. And I want to be very, very clear and say that those of you who are in businesses, and trust me, I've been in a few myself, when a newcomer comes in, you look at the newcomer and you get upset. Oh, this person's going to take away our jobs. This person's going to do this. Oh, their ideas, they got fresh marketing. Listen, focus on your own game. As a business owner, focus on your own game, not your competitors. You have to know what's going on in the market, yes. You have to pay attention to the market space. When I first came into the industry with Roque, I'll tell you all a little bit of a backstory here. We had a competitor, what was his name? Poor fella died of a heart attack a couple years ago. Oh God, I can't remember his name now. Simpson. Anyway, he had a store doing the exact same thing that we were doing. He was charging double the price. I looked at the pricing and I thought, wow, why is he charging this price? He's overpricing the marketplace like crazy. We can cut the price by 50%, still be comfortable, still cover cost, and actually provide way better service than him by far, because his customer service kind of suck. And a lot of times we got his clients, and the first thing they would say, I remember one time the wife of a judge came in and she's like, oh my God, I've heard such wonderful things about you. And, you know, I've been going over to, what was his company called? K-Tech or something. I can't remember now. But anyway, you know, she's like, oh my gosh, I can't take his poor service anymore. And then I heard about you and here I am. Thank you. And I was like, oh, poor you. Right? Sometimes you can be providing the exact same service, but you provide it in a different way. You provide better customer service. And that's where, as business owners, some of y'all need to focus on your game. Why are you worried about, oh, the Filipinos are going to come and take my job and outbid me and this, that, and the next thing? How are you remaining competitive in the space in which you operate? It's a question that only you can answer. How are you marketing? Right? What are you doing? What's cutting edge about what you offer? Do you have the best customer service, or are you just another run-of-the-mill taxi who believes that you should be in business just because you're a Caymanian and you own a taxi? The taxi market is beyond saturated. From this country reopened post-COVID, they have been calling me, claiming that they're trying to get a hold of the minister and they can't get a hold of the minister and they want a meeting because despite cruise tourism being back and now we've reopened, we've dropped all the things, they're not making any money. And there's a lesson in that a business that used to be profitable is now oversaturated, and it has been oversaturated a long time. So is Majestic Tours going to make any money with this island ride? Only God knows. That will be their loss. Those of you who are in the taxi business who are competing right now, what do you think it's going to take for you to become profitable? Gas prices have increased. You've got the repairs on your vehicles, right? You've got over 400 of you competing for the same customers. Unless the customer base is increased tourism, increased, stay over people who require your service. Unless there's an increase in those numbers, what is it that you think is going to drive your financial position up? Stifling competition is never good for anybody. Yeah? Saying that Majestic Tour is 100% Caymanian-owned business. Which Ronnie is it that is involved in Majestic Tours? Is it Ronnie Ebanks? Saying that they should not be able to compete and they should have, restrictions placed on their ability to compete in their licenses and blah, blah, blah. That's a problem. Have you noticed that the Island Ride company that they have, and I'm taking this off the compass, I'll give them credit for it. The vehicle that they're using is a BMW. That is why when they say that it is a private car boutique service, Thomas can say all he wants, and oh yeah, these are fancy words that have no meaning. Thomas, that means that you don't even understand marketing. I hate to tell you, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a reality check. If I'm the type of clientele who is used to driving around in a Mercedes and a BMW and a Range Rover and whatever, and even when I travel, I have to travel in a pickup service that offers that type of vehicle, are you willing to go out there and spend the money to get a fleet of high-end vehicles to satisfy that clientele? That's why the term boutique service actually means something. And you can look up the term boutique service and you will see precisely what it is attached to. You're not a regular taxi service. You are going after a high-end clientele. And there's certain people, somebody calls you down in Dog City, talking about, yeah, come and pick me up. This car boutique service ain't going down in there. Let's be very, very honest. Huh? That they're trying to attract a certain type of customer. Do we say that Caymanian-owned businesses have to put restrictions on these businesses and how much they can grow and what they can do for the sake of allowing other people who aren't technology driven, who don't know how to run a business, and who don't even think about what do I need to do to upskill myself? Stifling competition to try and say, well, that's how we're going to even out the playing field makes zero sense. And it's one of the reasons why Caymanians will only ever get somewhere if we have that type of mentality that is pervasive in this community. You don't stifle competition. You don't stifle technology, right? You get with the program, truth be told. You see how you can improve upon what exists. Karen says Uber is not as good as people think. This isn't even Uber. The Compass used that Uber-like or whatever term they use in their headline, and God, that has now confused people. Mini Uber, and they put it in quotes. I don't know who they were quoting. Yeah, they say that the service is going to cater to people in the evenings. App-based payment system. I can tell you, for someone who is technology driven, for me, the app-based payment system was wonderful. Because I don't carry cash. I don't want to carry cash. Before the first day in New York, I was having to take out my card, which means I could drop it, the chance of me dropping it more are there. And then I had to tap it on the thing, put in my PIN, all kind of foolishness. I didn't want to do any of those extra steps. With the app, it's linked to my PayPal account. I control how much money is in that account, so less likely to be defrauded. Yeah. And I just press pay. on the phone and I'm jumping out the door at the exact same time. For those of you who are very into efficiency, trust me, I loved that app. I was like, ooh, honey child, this is awesome. But it ain't for everybody. There'll be people like, no, I can't do that. Taxi drivers don't take cash no more in the States for safety reasons. They get robbed in New York. Yeah. We can't say that we're going to prioritize one Caymanian over another Caymanian and protect your livelihood and not protect the livelihood of other Caymanians. Caller, buenos dias. Hello.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning.
Yeah, I just have that same question. Isn't Majestic Caymanian company? I mean,
Yes.
what is the big deal?
It is
If
a
we could
Caymanian
accept
company.
other people coming in and
But you see,
fronting,
the premise,
fronting and
yeah, the
having all
premise
that.
of this.
Majestic is an old Caymanian
Right.
company with reputable Caymanians. Come on, let's get with it. And the second thing is that, have we thought about how many Caymanians there are taxis? Half of these drivers, bus drivers, taxi drivers are not even Caymanians. They're here on work permits. So maybe that's where we need to start.
Yeah.
That is probably where we need to start.
Yeah. I mean, Majestic Tours, folks, has been around for 38 years.
Forever. I remember from being in Triple C school and that lovely lady and her husband, God bless him. I remember working in the airport and seeing them up there all hours and night picking up people mornings. They have come far, so why not? Why not? That's the problem. We are more welcoming for outside people than our own people.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
here's the problem too, caller, right? I mean, I thought long and hard about this, but when you start off a position, I said this the other day, and this is why I'm in the business of checking out facts. When you start off a position with an incorrect statement, and then you build on that, to me, that undermines your entire credibility. From the second Thomas says, oh, DART owns Majestic, and this is a DART Uber service,
That's
and
right.
all of that was
Red
completely
flags, yes.
wrong. Thomas, you have lost credibility with me because everything that comes out of your mouth that flows from that erroneous information is now suspect. I have to be fair to people, whether it's Dart or Johnny Ebanks down the street, right? So you can't throw out dispersions against people. Well, there must have been something underhanded here just because they got a license. How long did it take Majestics to get that license? The fact that it took you a year and a half to get a license is not your competitor's fault. It's not Majestic's fault. Your beef should be with the Public Transport Board and the Public Transport Unit. And trust me, we soon come to them because I understand that there's a lot of beef over there that people have with them in the inefficiencies and stuff that they operate under that transport board with. Minister, I know you're probably listening again this morning, but that board is another one that needs some help. But that is not your competitor's fault. You can't blame your competitor, and you can't seek to, undermine the market because your position is, well, they take too long to even approve a license. Well, given the fact that you have over 400 licenses in place, maybe the logical argument should be they need to stop issuing taxi licenses.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
At some point, the market is oversaturated, and you're not helping anybody by flooding the market with all this business.
I know there's a lady, Sandy, that comes on. I listen to the other show sometimes. On the afternoon Cayman radio, just to do comparison, whatever. And there's a lovely lady, a friend of mine too, that comes on. And you can hear the frustration on that lady almost every day. She is complaining about how the taxi system or bus system or tour systems is operated. And it begs to wonder, what is the ministry instead of going forward according to her? Things are reverting. So where is the minister or the whoever takes care of the transport here? So it's just a big mess, to be honest. But for one thing about back to the app in the UK, they use that, or we use that, and it's amazing. because like you said, technology, I could tell the car that's coming, the number of the car, even the driver is stated on
Yes.
that
So for
app.
safety
And like you say, you
reasons,
can follow them
that's
to the
right.
minute. So, all of these things. I kind of think because of traveling and living abroad now, I just think that we as Caymanians are so narrow-minded.
Oh
We
God,
have
trust
no
me.
space in our minds for expansion.
Absolutely.
So we really need to get with it.
And that's why one of the reasons why when I travel, I really like to share some of what my observations are and things that I've noticed, because I think that there are a lot of people who don't travel as often as they probably should. There are people in this jurisdiction who have never lived outside of the Cayman Islands. And that unfortunately is a disservice to them. That's why they're so close-minded. And then you know what is so crazy? There are a lot of people asking, where's Thomas from? I mean, I have no clue. But a lot of people are asking, oh, is he a paper Caymanian? Or how did he get Keka? He don't sound like one. I don't know any of that, right? He said he's a Caymanian. Let's leave it at that.
We take it, yes.
But even so, there are people who have come here from other places who've acquired Cayman status, and the things that they say now that they're in Cayman and the protections that they expect, they would never say and do it in their own country. And I do think that is very apple pay. What's the word I'm looking for? Apropos? What the fuck? Whatever. Y'all know what I mean. Let me not curse in the morning show, honey. Child, I get in trouble. But y'all know what I'm saying. It's very ironic, to say the least.
All right. For real.
And that's why the next conversation we're going to have is how expats come here and they're in a position to tell us what constitutes Caymanian food.
Exactly.
Y'all need Jesus.
So have a nice day. Good weekend.
Thank you, my dear. All right. So this commenter says, Ronnie Anglin, it's Anglin, my apologies. I knew he's from West Bay. Said either had to be in Anglin or Kneebanks. Is not involved in Majestic Tours. He's one of the owners of Captain Marvin Sports. Oh, sorry. They had jointly purchased island tours from the DART organization. All right. So again, facts. Courtesy Tours, DART came in trying to help them out financially. DART said, we don't want no part of this business. Actually, we're not interested in public transportation, taxis, nothing. And then Ronnie Anglin, who is one of the owners of Captain Marvin's, as y'all know, the Anglin family owns that, came in with Majestic Tours as partners, purchased Island or set up, that was the company I think that DART had set up, Island Tours Limited from the DART organization. Now, my understanding is Island Tours Limited is defunct. I don't know when that ended or whatever. So Majestic Tours has been operating a private car service for 15 years. And Island Ride is a new way for them to market a premium vehicle service in the evenings. So let me ask the question, was there a special license recently? Let me ask the question. Yes, let me ask a question about the licensing. Oh, yes, I do have a shout out that I'm going to give here in a second. All right, listen. Take a breather. Y'all breathe for a minute, and then we're going to read some of your comments. Let's give away some of these scratch-off cards from Burger King. If y'all have been listening and paying attention, these questions should be very, very easy, but you need to call in to win. 936 Bobo is a telephone number. Okay. So here we go. How many people, as of this weekend, have won the Burger King top prize of 1,000? Should I even tell you all the amount? That could be another trivia question. I'm not going to tell you all the amount. The top prize, let me just put it that way, because then that'll be my next trivia question, is how much is that top prize? So how many people thus far, and that's as of this weekend, have won the top prize from Burger King? Question number 1, 936 Bobo is the telephone number. How many people have won that top prize? Where's my Jeopardy little button here? Looks like I've stumped y'all. How many people have won? If you got crickety crick fingers, you can find it on Facebook and Instagram. And then the second question, I'll throw them both out there to get a scratch off card. Ooh, we got a caller. Good morning, caller. How many people have won so far?
I believe it's 4, and there's 6 remaining.
That's correct, honey chow. You won yourself one of these scratch-off cards. So I'm going to just pick one. I got a whole batch of them here. Yes, and I'm just going to pick one and set aside for you. Will you send me a WhatsApp message with your contact information, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Thank you and congratulations. She might be lucky number 5. Now, the next question is, what is the amount of the top prize? What are people winning? I think somebody's trying to call in just now. So what's the amount that people are actually winning? Hold on. Let me try to get back into this phone, honey chill. So how much are people winning? What's the top prize? We've got 4 winners so far. And how much are they winning? Good morning, caller.
Good morning. It's $1,982.
Yes. Congratulations, caller. All right. Now, will you please WhatsApp me that you've won one of these scratch off cards?
Yes, I will.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, my dear. Okay, so that's 2. And you know what? I'm going to pair them while we're at it, give y'all lunch at the same time. So I'll give you a little $10 gift certificate to Burger King and get yourself a salad. You don't always have to eat a burger at Burger King, honey chill. There are some healthier options, but y'all know. You'd be like, oh, yes, Sandy, I'm going to have a salad. And y'all know y'all be sitting there eating that cheeseburger. It's your choice, honey. Your prerogative. Very good. There we go. All right, here's another question. Burger King is celebrating their 40th anniversary now. The question then is, for much of that 40 years, the company was owned by our favorite Gary Ruddy, aka Peanut. What is the name of the new owner? I'll even allow you to just give me a first name, honey child. Do you know his first name? He's a really nice guy, I must tell you. Every time I sit down and chat with him, very, very friendly, nice guy. Smart guy, has a marketing background, which is interesting. And he has, made his mark in the world of marketing, set up his own very successful marketing company back in the day before he got into buying a Burger King franchise. Super smart guy. So what's his name? Anybody been paying attention? I've actually called his name in the program before, but you might not remember. So think hard on it. Siobhan, good morning. Shannon, speaking about the taxi situation, says he has Caymanian roots. He has his status through my father, who was his Caymanian grandfather. All right. So listen, I always say in this program, once you're referred to as a Caymanian, I have lots of people call me. Actually, sometimes people call me and they say, Miss Sandy, they start talking to me. They say, I'm a Caymanian. I hear this very, very strong Jamaican accent. So I do chuckle for a minute. But you cannot make assumptions about how people became a Caymanian. Because you know what they say to me? My grandfather was a Caymanian, 1,000%. And I just happened to have been born in Jamaica and have a Jamaican accent. I said, there you go. Don't y'all be making dispersions about people just because they don't speak like Anna. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Is it Peanut?
No, that's the previous owner. I'm looking for the new one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So I remember when I first came back to Cayman, y'all didn't think I sounded like a Caymanian either, honey chill. Y'all were like, oh, she not Caymanian enough. And some of y'all like, you sure you Caymanian? Who you from? Who your mama is? And then when I start telling you about the multi-generational Caymanian from down in the East, when you hear Caymanian talking about down in the East, if you know what that means, that when you know. And so, yes. Oh, your daddy was Mr. Urick? Oh my God, I never knew that. And I was like, So anyway, what does that have to do with the price of rice in China? Not a damn thing. Oh, but Sandy, I remember when they first turned down my application to become a notary. They claimed it was because I wasn't a Caymanian. I'm like, what kind of people? These were MPs, by the way. And I said, what kind of MPs are running this country? This was back in the, I guess, mid-90s. And I said, how do you think I would apply and provide supporting documentation that I'm a Caymanian? I'm actually one of those Caymanians that were born in Cayman that don't have to get no acknowledgement. because I was born at a time when that wasn't even required. Good morning, caller. Happy Friday.
Good morning. Happy Friday to you too. Is it Mr. Mark Anthony?
It sure is. Congratulations.
Thank you, Miss Sandy.
Please WhatsApp me. His name is Mark Anthony. And the first time I heard his name, I said, is that your real name? Mark
Yes,
Anthony?
I thought
As
it
in
was
the
the
Mark
signature.
Anthony? Thank you, my dear.
Thank you, darling. Bye.
So yes, his name is Mark Anthony, and I'm sure he gets a lot of jokes about that name all the time. Somebody just says, I was like, what does a Caymanian sound like? Honey child, we listen here, we're quite diverse these days. Some of us are very prim and proper, so you can't go by that, okay? All right, my dear child. Charles says, so we can't grow, only Majestic can grow because they have millions to throw around, and the small Cayman taxi drivers can't get the change. Why? It's unfair and no one will care. Majestic Tours makes a huge piece of the pie, and why they can move forward, but we can't. But Charles, who is stopping you from moving forward? Nobody's stopping you from moving forward. What I'm saying is you can't discriminate against Majestic just because they are bigger. It took them 38 years to get there. You don't know how they got there. You don't know the sacrifices that were made in 38 years. So you can't look at a Caymanian-owned company right now and say, oh, it's unfair that they have gotten this growth. The market was different 38 years ago. When they got in at the ground 38 years ago, I bet you there was not 400 plus taxi drivers out there or tour buses competing. So they were able to establish themselves within the industry. They were able to probably get contracts, right, from people in the industry. So someone saying they can't get me on YouTube. YouTube is good, folks. I don't know what's going on, but it's working just fine. You understand what I'm saying? I don't really understand the logic of your arguments from a business perspective. Right? So we should hold down Majestic Tours because they have been successful? Have that make any sense? What needs to happen, Charles, and I'm going to be very frank and honest with you, is sometimes you need to understand, as someone who wants to be a business owner, the risk of doing business, of getting involved in business, that you don't even understand the marketplace. Because then you can't beg the government to protect you because you didn't understand that the tourism market for the past tours and what's it called? Taxi service has been saturated for the past 10 years. How long have you had your license? Whose fault is that? And there are people out there still trying to get a license. They should be listening this morning and understand that there's not the kind of money in this industry that there used to be. And the expense involved in maintaining and keeping up your vehicles is a real world expense. I'm just saying, y'all need some business 101 classes. Strong Wills has some very strong words, Lord Jesus, to describe his opinion of that guy. He says he sounds like an effing idiot. Ooh, honey child, let's try to be nice to each other. You know, he obviously had his opinion. He was allowed to say it, said he'd been waiting over an hour, honey child. I understand that people can rub us the wrong way and that sort of thing. But, you know, I try to help people. I try to say, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, yes? And we try to give you the platform to have it, but sometimes, again, it's the way in which you express that opinion that may or may not help your position. So Strong Will says, I don't know, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Oh, there you go. I think taxi drivers just need to be more realistic about what it is that they're doing. Y'all do need some help with marketing. By the way, let me ask somebody, who is this, CIAA? Is Johan Moxham listening to the program this morning? Or is he in some business meeting? Can y'all please do something different at the airport? Johan, are you there? When you pick up people at the airport in a private car, AKA my husband goes and gets the car and comes to pick us up with luggage, we have nowhere to pick up because they have the cones blocking off a large segment of it. There's an area reserved for taxis that I think they need to move where the taxis are actually doing their airport pickups to somewhere else. Because the few little spots that are there since the airport has been redesigned are largely being taken up by taxis. It just doesn't make any sense. When we came back again, my husband was complaining again, like, why, who thought that this was a good idea? You literally have one spot for a private vehicle to pull into and pick up people. And the guy who works for, I guess, CIA, he's like, listen, nobody listens to us. We've made the suggestion before and nobody listens to us. So we just, tell you can't park here and you got to keep it moving. But you're supposed to be allowed to pick people up, but there's not even adequate space to do that. Karen says Cayman is too small for any Uber services. They're expensive here in the UK. Well, you're happy to know that this isn't an Uber service. So that should put that argument to bed. But listen, even if someone wanted to come in and introduce an Uber service, they're a Caymanian, how are you going to stop them? Listen to me. Cayman has a bar, restaurant, and a church on every single corner practically. Caymanian decides, oh, I want to open up another bar. Liquor sells well, I guess, in this country because everybody's in the bar business. Are they making any money? I don't know. But do you expect the government to say, we don't want you getting in this business because we don't think you're going to make money? That's actually not the government's remit one way or the other. If you want to go and you want to try it, then they're going to say, all right, go right ahead. As long as you meet the criteria for whatever they need, liquor license, here's what we need, blah, blah, blah. Go knock yourselves out. They might restrict liquor licenses for another reason, but it's not because they're sitting down going, oh, your bar business isn't going to be profitable because there's too many of them out there. Miss Sue says, Debbie, yes. Some people think that because we have different accents, we're not Caymanian. I want us to move away from that line of thinking now. Because like I said, as Caymanians, we come in all shapes and sizes, colors, hair types, the works. Some of us have been overseas. Some of us have a different accent. Shannon says, clarifying that he grew up in Florida. All right, well, he's Caymanian, whatever. Okay, look at Thomas. Look at him. He said, I feel like I should put in a shameless plug right now. Thump.ky is his website. Yes, Thomas, perhaps you should be focusing on your marketing strategy. Don't just put in a shameless plug on this show. Go out there and talk to a marketing expert about how when somebody goes on the World Wide Web and they Google taxi service in Cayman or Uber service, why are you not coming up as the first search result? I'm just saying, y'all, these are some of the things that you need to look at. When you're in business, these are the things that you should be paying attention to instead of trying to stifle and control competition. CMR, we're like the little train that could. Was it the little train that could? What could? I think it was a little train. Little choo-choo train that could. Yeah? When we came into the market, y'all were laughing at CMR. Oh, what is this small road? I don't know what that is. They're not going to do nothing. Sandy this, Sandy that. But listen, the very first story that we published was a CMR exclusive about Bruce Blake being arrested. Nobody else had this story. All of y'all were like, who's this small road? Where they get this information from? And we just remained consistent. And 5 years, going into 6 years now, look at us, baby. Cayman's #1 news source. We have now surpassed on Facebook 75,000 followers on Facebook and another 41.8 thousand on Instagram. There are things that happen behind the scenes. It's not just about throwing up a website and putting any kind of foolishness on it. It's not just about throwing up a social media page and just getting in a talk show and talking BS all day. We have a reputation in this community for being about the people's business for a reason. You go to the police with a complaint, and now the police are telling you, oh, go to Cayman Mall Road, they can help you. There's a reason for that. There's a reason when you lose something, you come to us first. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that happen in the background. I have had to spend money, my own hard-earned money that wasn't earned from CMR, on the CMR platform. Having the experts come in and talk about our SEO placement and how to make sure that our articles are positioned to track well when you search for certain keywords and tags, et cetera, et cetera. Right? This is being in business. I've always said that for me, CMR was a passion and not a paycheck. And despite that, at some point, I had to admit that this is a business and there's certain things that have to be done in a business-like manner. I'm just saying. Those are the realities of it. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes that you may not be aware of when it comes to running any kind of business. But when you decide to enter that business, you better know, you better educate yourself. And I'm telling you that in this world now, any business that you have, you better understand how to market, and in particular, how to market on social media. How many of y'all who run a business, tell me now, tell me the truth. You run a business, you've ever even done a course in social media marketing? You'd be surprised that even before CMR existed, I actually got a diploma certification in social media marketing because I could see the necessity of having it regardless of what business I was in. I'm just saying. Yeah. All right. Miss Olive, good morning. She says taxi is very, very expensive here. I was going to the airport and my car tire blew out in West Bay across from the police station with no time to change tires. I didn't have a spare. The police called a taxi for me. These officers were so nice and intelligent, and from West Bay to the airport, the taxi charged me $45. I was so shocked, but I paid it and was able to catch my flight on time. I thank the taxi driver for taking me safe to the airport. Well, taxi service nowhere in the world is cheap. Trust me. As a matter of fact, by the second day in Times Square, I realized that a lot of places I need to go were in a 5, 6, maybe 8 radius block, and I could just pull up my phone, tell Google Maps where I wanted to go, and it would give me walking directions. Walk here, make a right, make a left. And so I'm thinking, yeah, guess what? I can lose weight by doing a little bit of extra steps in today and actually get to my destination at the same time. The only thing is the cold. Oh God, I had to get cover my face, cover my gloves, everything had to be covered up. But other than that, I'm like, oh, this is a pleasant walk. And then by walking, I actually got to see other stuff and I could make other stops. I could go into the Hershey store because y'all know I had to go into chocolate stores. And then across the street was the M&M store. And then we walked into the Disney store. My daughter, Gigi, and I were walking all over the place, getting in our steps, honey child, and we were quite enjoying it. Because, yeah, that same ride in a taxi is going to be $20. And you add that up going each way. Hello, that's my shopping money right there. Damien says in Cuba, their Mercedes-Benz for taxis also more expensive. Tabitha says driving around in what we call in the US a dollar vans. She says that they're not cheap here. 2 blocks, $50. And yes, you can order a car from our couch, but will they show up is the question. I have taxis cancel after waiting 30 minutes and I have to order a new car. Where do you live, Tabitha? I'm curious about where you are. I must tell you, Tabitha, the one time I tried to order, I went and did like this Thai massage at night in New York, and I tried to order a car. The guy went to the wrong address because the GPS settings were off in the app, in the Curb app. I just clicked location and it sent him somewhere else. So I was actually through the app. I can call the driver as well. You get the name, phone number, everything. Like I really like this app. So I was able to call him and he's like, oh, I'm here. I'm outside. And I'm like, no, you're not, because I'm standing outside and I don't see you. He's like, yes, I'm at this address. Da-da-da. And then sure enough, I looked at the phone and it put in the wrong address. I was like, what? Why did it put? I'm like, I'm not at that address. And he wasn't happy, child. He's like, you're wasting my time. Click. I was like, okay. So then I just grabbed a taxi from the side of the road and then linked the app and paid and, use the same app to pay for that one. So the GPS thing seemed a little bit off, honey child. So Miss Lucia says, Sandy, I know you can only do and say so much, and I am being you to look out for the taxi driver. Sandy, government needs to do singing for them. I was in it. I know it's flooded years ago. The crud shop is selling everything on the ship. Oh, the cruise ship is selling everything on the ship. I felt sorry for them. It was finished for taxi drivers years ago. All I can say is take all these vehicles and park them. They were nowhere. Don't bash me. It's the truth. I love you all. Stay safe. I won't tell them where to park them. The market is woefully oversaturated. Anybody who gets into the market hasn't seen that and thought that they were going to make a decent living being a taxi driver kind of missed some key indicators, I would think. I'm just saying. Even what's it called? Even how the cruise ships operate. I mean, they try to pre-book tours and all that kind of stuff, and that's how they do control the pricing and how they're able to offer a particular service. And listen, there's a lot of industries, folks, that are very difficult industries to be in. Even the restaurant business is a very difficult industry to be in. And it just is what it is, folks. I think you need to understand the nature of the business you decide to get into. And if you can't understand it, then I don't know what to tell you. Right? There's a lot of factors involved in owning a business. And you've got to know the real cost of doing a business. So many people just look at, oh, I can make this amount of money. And I say, yeah, okay, what's your cost? What do you have to lay out? Staffing costs, pension, insurance, this, that. And then they start to go, oh my God. And it's like, really? Yeah. You better look at the expenses as well as the potential income. All right, folks, let me see. Oh, we got to scroll through the comments. Lots and lots of comments coming in. Strong Will says, good morning, Sandy. Look at A.L. Thompson's. They started from scratch and look at where they are now. Some people just don't get it. And listen, I don't begrudge anybody who has started in an industry, normally started very, very small, and over the years just continued to work at it. You can't compare a business that has been around for 38 and 40 years to someone who just got their license. I'm sorry, but if you're doing that as someone who's in the business, you got a problem. They've made some inroads. Renly says, I hear Dart owns Majestic Tours. We've just talked about that, Dart. Renly, we have set the record straight. Dart does not own Majestic Tours. please hit the rewind button and you'll get the full explanation of probably where that rumor started. Y'all need to stop going to DART trying to borrow money, because that's the problem. All right. So someone else says, one of my sons still say that you are not Caymanian. He says you don't sound like one. I was like, what does a Caymanian sound like? Tell him I'm probably more Caymanian than him. Who his dad is? All right, let me see. Somebody else says, I just heard your explanation, so that is good to hear. Thank you. Well, I think that the government should be looking at various businesses and see if there needs to be a moratorium. Now, this is an interesting question. Do you all believe that government should tell you you can't get into this business? Now, I think that there should be a moratorium on certain businesses for other reasons, not for any competitive reason. So we talked about all the immigration abuses that are out there, people who are taking advantage. Another one, again, was just reported to me the other day, taking people's money, making them pay for the work permit, and they don't have no jobs for them, and they're not even putting in the permit. They're just stealing people money. They're all in very similar businesses, cleaning businesses, because these are easy license to get, janitorial businesses, lawn care businesses. There needs to be a moratorium on those until the government is capable of actually reining those businesses in and doing the compliance and due diligence that's required. That's what I think the moratorium should be about. Not about telling you that, oh, this is not a profitable business. If you get in a business that's not profitable, then that is your fault. Yeah? Government can't stop you from being a donkey and from not understanding business. So to clarify, as it relates to Majestic Tours, they did not need a new license because it falls within their current license. Now, y'all think that this is something that they just came up with overnight. Hear the true story. That before launching, they actually demonstrated the app and concept to the tourism minister, chief officer, and chair of the PTSB back in 2020 and 2021. Because this type of thing takes a minute to roll out. Those of you asking the question about who they're hiring, are they hiring Caymanians? I wish y'all would go and ask that of the Flowers Group, please. Some of the people you really need to ask it of, you're not asking it of. Yeah. But here are the facts. This is what Majestic Tours, and I appreciate them being forthright and forthcoming. 2017, 70% of their overall staff numbers were non-work permit holders. 70%. Okay. That was reduced in 2018 and 2019 when the PTSB, Public Transport Board, opened up licenses for more taxi and tour permits. Some of their Caymanian staff that came through their businesses are now working for themselves. So they don't want to work for somebody else in the taxi business. So now I don't know what the numbers are, but it's gone down from 70%. And here's the thing. You can't force a Caymanian to work for anybody. If they want to work for themselves, win, lose, or draw, then it is what it is. All right, honey child. Damien is in the house. Debbie says no advertising. That's why. Move on and get your marketing act together. Andrea says the lady that is talking about taxi fares is expensive. Please, do you know what's the cost for gas and how expensive to maintain our vehicles? But Andrea, to be fair, that's the whole point that I've said. It is expensive. And that is why when you get in the business, you've got to understand what is the break-even point. At what point do my clients say, I'm not going to pay $50 to go from West Bay to the airport if I can help it? I'll call a friend who can take me for free. All of these things are to be taken into consideration by you all who are in the business. It's a business of owning and operating a taxi service. And at some point, you might recognize that it's just not worth it anymore. I'm just saying. Miss Perla says, Sandy, always remember, Sandy is giving you all free advice. Honey child, take it or leave it. So sit down and learn to raise your hand and ask the right question. No question is a stupid question. Knowledge is key. There are some stupid questions, though. Let's be honest. I've heard a few in my lifetime. But anyway, ask it anyway. And we'll do our best. Damien says, that's right, honey child. Facebook is way cheaper than the phone book and newspaper and radio. Well, oh, Damien, we need your marketing 101 class, honey child. Miss Olive said, woman, I said what I said. I don't have no problem with no comment. Why do you have a problem with my comment? Oh, y'all getting salty today. Woo! Take a minute, take a breather, relax, relax. Yes, sir. Perla says, I remember taking a taxi here in Cayman from the airport Foster's to Windsor Park. It was about $30 for the minute. That was included with him waiting on me. No, sir. What a hot mess. He waited on you to do what? Shop at Foster's? How long were you shopping for? Oh my gosh. Ms. Brenda, we're seeing your posts. They're showing up on the screen. There's only 1,000 comments right now, so we don't have time to read them all, but I am displaying them on the screen, most of them. What about the shipping industry? Are you asking if the shipping industry is profitable? Not anymore, because a container is now 9 times what it used to cost before COVID. Speaking of which, oh, hold on a second. There's something I want to alert you all to, because I do try to keep y'all in the know. I know some of y'all don't like to be informed, but anyway, I do my best. The cost of orange juice is going up. Make sure you know you heard it here first, because y'all will soon be cussing Foster's and Kirk Kernels and this one grocery store and that one grocery store. Oh, I can't afford no orange juice no more. The cost is going up. And let me see if I can find the thing as to why. That there's a couple of reasons why. There is a citrus disease that has hit the crops that has reduced production by some 70%, I think. It's crazy. But that's going to be an issue. And there was the hurricanes and also destroyed a good portion of the crop as well. So you can expect orange juice, folks, to be going up in the next right now. So you're gonna notice it fairly soon. Just know that it is what it is. And if you can't afford orange juice, you can't afford orange juice. Now, you know, a lot of us like fresh squeeze, honey child, but you can expect those prices to increase. Just FYI, it's what's happening. I'll find it. I was actually going to play you guys a video. Maybe I'll do that for Monday for you guys. But yes, orange juice is definitely on the increase. Yeah. Okay. Paolo says, do you know that if the iRide app is using non-Caymanian drivers, if so, did they get a special license to do so? And is that license available to others? So I think we have explained this sufficiently already. Majestic Tours is using this app, and they have, it's like a side sister company, I guess. And they did not need any additional licensing. They've got multiple licenses from PTSB already, and they hire as many Caymanian staff, I guess, as are interested in working with them. If you're a Caymanian, send in your application. But they say a lot of Caymanians have decided that they wanted to get into the business themselves because they thought there was big money in it. And then once they start seeing all the expense that comes with it, including, you know, the repairs and maintenance and everything else, and all of a sudden now they're crying foul, like, oh, there's not much money in the taxi business. Okay, well, who told y'all that there was money in the taxi business? It's a very interesting point. All right, it is what it is. Hopefully I've done some justice to trying to clarify that. Let me share something with you, which I thought was super, super interesting that I discovered in New York. I must say, I so much preferred the airport in New York versus the airport in Miami. Miami International, can you get your ish together, please? Take a few lessons from the was it LaGuardia that we came in and out of? Airport there in New York, because, honey child, they have a couple things really on the mark. One of the things that I was really impressed with were the toilets. Now I know what you're thinking. Toilet? What the heck? Yes, my friends. They had a toilet that has an automatic toilet. You know, anytime you sit on a toilet as a woman, child, you be squatting. You can't really sit on toilets in America or anywhere else because they just, ew, it gives me the bejeebers even thinking about it. But check this out. I'm going to show y'all something that I was really impressed with. They have a system there that has the covers built in to the toilet. Talk about technology, y'all. Can Cayman start to get some of these toilet seat systems? Here, yeah, look, yeah. So this is a built-in Brill system. I even took a little picture of the sign too because I was so impressed by this. And it automatically moves the toilet seat cover around every single time you flush and you're done with it. And it gives you a new sanitary piece to be able to sit your bum on if you need to sit. And it's better for women to sit. Mm-hmm. So we need some technology, some technological advances in that industry. I was really, really tickled pink. Even the little, you know, immigration, all those, as you come in, customs, everybody at the airport has a little, how are you satisfied with your service? And they use all of the little emojis to, you know, indicate your satisfaction. They had a proper electronic display, not just the like manual ones that you press, but this one was like HD, you know, you press it and it was way more sophisticated than any others that I'd seen. I was like, wow, New York airport really got it going on, honey chill. So, you know, we live and we learn on some of these things. I'm still trying to find this article about the orange juice, but anyway, I will find it. It popped up on my Alexa. And so Alexa was telling me all about it the other day. All right. Alexa, stop. I didn't mean to talk to you. All right. Renly says you haven't done much justice. Have you been listening, Renly? Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. Here's the other thing, folks. It's the Airbnb. I'm thinking about how industries evolve over time and how those of you who are willing to or not willing to adjust to the evolvements will be left behind. So as you know, in the rental business, Airbnb is a whole thing. There are people who are trying to get into Airbnb who don't understand the concept. They don't know how it works. They just hear the term. They're like, oh, this is a great idea. Why not really understand how it works, right? So people are upset, like, oh, Airbnb taken away, or rentals and Airbnb. How do you think you stop an industry like Airbnb? Now they have to be registered. So Department of Tourism says, yes, if you're operating an Airbnb in this jurisdiction, you still have to be registered. You have to pay your licensing fee because government wants their money. And there might be other things. You might be subject to certain inspections. If your target market is not the local market and it's visitors, you're going to have to be subject to those types of audits and inspections. During COVID, there were those of you who recognized really, really quickly that you could take your property off of the long-term market and put it in short-term rentals, COVID rentals, and make a pile of money. I mean, tons of money. Sometimes 4 or 5 times what you're making a month, you could make that equivalent in a week. And a lot of you did it. and you made a lot of money hand over fist. And maybe that's open. You're like, oh, well, maybe I should get into another business. Maybe I should do Airbnb. But you have to know how people discover Airbnb properties, how they even find you online to be able to book you. That's the most important thing. Again, marketing, marketing, marketing. Mr. Charles says, I don't grudge Majestic, and I see your platform as a way to get a message across. So I am a Caymanian in a position to grow, and I'm being held back. So maybe you can get business results for us and allow drivers who can afford to move forward to be given the opportunity. Well, what is holding you back, Charles? How are you being held back? You're being held back by what? Because the market is oversaturated? Because you're not marketing and the people who don't know that your service is even available? How is it possible that it is someone else's obligation to make you successful in business? Even from my perspective, I have people all the time. Oh, Sandy, I want to open up this new business. Can you just put up this ad for me for free on CMR? And I say to them, we were doing a Wednesday thing. I haven't done it in a while, but we can certainly restart that where we put up a post and then in the post, you can market your business. But I'm like, imagine what it is you're saying to me. Can you go to the Compass and say to them, oh, I'd like you to put up an ad for me for free? They would laugh you at the front door. There is an element of doing business, and you have to understand how that works. And the marketing element seems to be something that you all are missing. It is no one's responsibility to make you successful. You're the one who decided to become a business owner. What made you thought that you had the resources, the acumen, the skill set to become a business owner? Have you ever picked up a book? You know how many business owner books I have read? From building, leading organizations, all sorts of other stuff. When was the last time you picked up a book about how to run a successful business? Y'all don't want to put in the work. And Mr. Charles, please know I'm not speaking to you directly. These are general comments. Y'all don't want to put in the work, but you want the payout, you want the success. And I'm telling you, in the 21st century, it no longer works so. This is one of the best books that I've ever read. The Rules of Work. Y'all need to buy a copy and go read it. Yeah? There's a lot in business and the camera won't even focus on it. Hold on now. There is a lot to be said for knowing a thing or two in the world of business. Educate yourselves, my Caymanian people. I am begging you. There's a whole series called the No BS series. Talk about sales, no BS guide to sales, no BS guide to marketing. And it is just to the point. This is what has been proven to be successful in the world of marketing. Boom, 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 get it done. No one is here to hold your hands. I don't know where y'all got that mentality from. Jonathan claims that look how quickly Sandy scrolls past my comments. Jonathan, you make enough comments and you answer, you get enough screen time. Come on now. How many comments y'all think have come through this morning? Hold on. Let's just have a look. I'm going to bet probably at least 150 comments. No, I can't read every single comment. I do my best to put most on the screen, but it is what it is. What a hot mess. Miss Juliet, morning. Damien, Renly, Jonathan. Renly says you haven't done much justice to what? Oh my goodness. JFK and LaGuardia in Queens, Brooklyn. This must have been JFK. Yes, this was JFK. But I must say the airport was nicer. It was cleaner. I don't know if it was just a particular area of the airport that we were in, but I found it to be much nicer than New York. I mean, Miami, sorry. Jim says it's not just the toilet seat that has most of the bacteria. It's the toilet paper holders and those air dryers. Oh my God. I try to not use those air blowers because I've seen the research on those. So yes, Jim, I know. Ugh. Those of us who are like germaphobes, I'm well aware. Mr. Raymond in the house. Good morning, Raymond. We don't see you here often. He has a comment. He says the bus drivers run it when they feel like. Most times passengers have to pay the drivers extra for them to drive the proper airport route. Oh, what a mess. So Debbie says, put hotel rates down. Short-term rentals is the way to go. I'm not quite sure I'm getting that first part. Put hotel rates down. So you want to tell hotels what to charge for their rooms? Let's come out of this mindset of trying to control industries. The industry oftentimes self-regulates itself. Hotels have to drop their rates when they have no business. Just like during COVID, they were begging y'all to come and rent from them because there was no business here. And they were giving you rooms that would ordinarily go for thousands of dollars a night. You could get it for $100-$200. When the business returned, they no longer wanted you there because they no longer needed you. It's called supply and demand. Now, the thing about Airbnb that oftentimes is a selling point is the extras that you get. You're not just getting a room. You're getting a house. You're getting a kitchen. You're getting a backyard. You're getting a whole, if it's beachfront property, you're getting access to the beach. You're getting a whole experience that maybe for some people is better than a hotel. Some people don't like Airbnb because they don't want to do their own laundry and their own bed sheets. They like the daily service of having someone come and bring them fresh towels every single day. And there are people who are getting into the Airbnb business who understand that. And now they offer as part of their Airbnb, we'll give you laundry facility. We'll do this, we'll do that. So it depends on the type of clientele you are and what it is that you're looking for. And if you're in the Airbnb business, you should know how to, again, market what are selling points for what you have to offer. Do you offer an Airbnb that comes with a car? They can also just rent the car from you, or it's included in the Airbnb and you just got good insurance because you know they'll probably crash it. Yeah. All of these things, folks, are things that you really got to look at. In New York airports, you're dealing with Americans, go figure. Well, yes, sometimes. They might be Americans, but they might be Filipino Americans or Italian Americans or whatever. I went to the coffee shop. I must say, I was standing in line trying to get, I don't drink coffee, but I was going to get a coffee for Marilyn. And I was trying to get something in breakfast. And the line was so long, they only had one person working. And then the flight was like American Airlines, like, we're boarding now. And I was like, oh, child, let me come out of this line. And I said to the one young lady in the little shop at the airport, I said, maybe you need some help. Because having one person grab food and ring up the register, the line is out the shop and it's not moving very fast. Damien says, I went to the Caymans and stayed at an Airbnb or the Ritz. Well, it's entirely up to you. Most tourists here will pay for a taxi and eat out. What does that say about the experience? Listen, there are people who do not mind Airbnb. There's a guy in East End, I forget what his name is. He does like a little bicycle tour business and whatever. And I think he has some little beach rentals. When it's high season, that man be booked out for months. That's what I'm telling y'all, don't knock it, but people have strategies that work for them. And if it's working for you, and you know how to market to that clientele and get customers, I'm all for you doing your legitimate business. So if that's what you want to do, if you think Airbnb is where it's at, what I find that's interesting is that there are too many people that jump on a business because it's the latest trend and they don't understand the nature of the business themselves. It's not as easy as you think. Thank you so much. I couldn't think of Nobi's his name. Shane Nobi Ebanks. Yes, he offers this little cycling tour business. and he has some Airbnb set up out there in East End, and people love it. It's away from the hustle and bustle of the 7 Mile Beach quadrant, and they don't have any problems with that. There's some sort of a medical emergency. Yeah, so people confirmed that the KYX flight 102 that had to turn back was a medical emergency. So drama. Yes. All right. Well, hopefully that person's A-okay. Somebody said we had Flex operating for years here, and that's also similar to Uber. Well, it seems to me that people's feathers are being ruffled by this newest app, because obviously their marketing is being effective, because it's even reaching the competitors, and the competitors are concerned. Well, y'all have given Majestic Tours this morning more free airtime. What do I say? Barbara Streisand effect. That wasn't your intent, but now everybody knows who Majestic Tours is, and everybody knows that they now have Island Ride, which is a premium boutique service. The irony of it is certainly not lost on me. Anyway, my beautiful folks, I didn't get to talk about, I'm going to leave it till next week because I do want to dig deep into this. There was this thing trending over the week. Some woman in one of these Cayman groups, like I Love Cayman, commenting about we don't have any local food here in the Cayman Islands. Oh, Jesus. When I tell you all to shut your mouth when you don't know what you're talking about, I really do mean it. You make yourself look so stupid when you say something like that. Oh, Caymanians don't have no local food. There's no such thing. Oh, there's no such thing as a Caymanian. Ooh, honey child, those are fighting words around here. But anyway, it is what it is. Eco Rides came on. Big shout out to them. Hold on, we got to do some shout outs. Let me not forget. Hello, little James. Yes. Let me do this now. We have James at Kirk Market. Somebody wanted to give James a shout out. Just a second. Let me get his picture and show y'all what little James looks like. Hold on. Let me grab this real quick. So this poster put up a comment about James at Kirk Market. So this person said that they went to the supermarket, and this morning they went to the supermarket, parked in the disabled spot because they are disabled, and sometimes find it difficult to exit the car due to my condition. I was struggling a bit, and before I knew it, James appeared with a shopping cart. He said, "Ma'am, do you need help?" Aw. Everybody, please tell James that we appreciate his excellent customer service and going above and beyond. There he is. So the poster continues. He said, "Ma'am, do you need help?" Me being myself said, "No, dear, I should be all right." I asked him if there was any electronic shopping carts available, and he said, "Yes, ma'am, I can get it for you." I told him I can manage to where they were. I am telling this story because today is the first time in a very long time that I've had such a wonderful experience from anyone who took the time to assist people such as myself. If that was not enough, he then found me at the checkout and insisted in helping me with my bags. Thank you again, James, for such a wonderful gesture you showed me today. I'm sure he does the same every day to others at his job. Thanks, Kirk Market, for hiring employees like James who shows such compassion and care. So big shout out to James. That is the very definition of Caymankind, young man. We appreciate you and continue to offer such wonderful customer service. If you see James at Kirk Market, please tell him, "Yes, Miss Debbie, that is true Caymankind." Please tell James hello and thank you, and we'll put up a little shout out on our social media pages for James as well. We love to hear these stories, huh? Wonderful. Oh, James, good for you. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, it's my pleasure. Damien says he does not look like a Caymanian. Here we go again, Damien. Damien, what does a Caymanian look like to you, please, sir? Do tell. Anyway, folks, thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Brenda, for the reminder that we should be tipping. This is an important one, that we should be tipping. Now, it's hard for me because a lot of times I don't have cash on me. But when I go to the grocery store, take a few dollars, tip your baggers, your grocery baggers who bag up your groceries, folks, and encourage them to continue to provide excellent customer service. All these young kids, they're hustling for a couple dollars. And guess what? Their hustle is legit. It's honest. It's real. They're not out there robbing anybody or stealing from anybody. They're bagging your groceries. Give them a little $5 tip. Okay? It's not going to kill you. All right. Jim says, who cares if he looks Caymanian or not? Caymankind is Caymankind. He actually does look Caymanian, though. So I don't know what Damien's talking about. Damien, try and behave yourself because people might start asking you where you from. All right. You go there, James. We appreciate your wonderful service. Here's the news from Kevin Watler. Y'all have a wonderful day. Ms. Donna says, oh, he's a sweet, helpful boy. Yes. And that is really what matters here. Jonathan says, that really makes me wonder if you're getting paid by HSA to promote the jab. What? What are you talking about? What on earth? What jab? What are you talking about? Jonathan, you've either smoking too much ganja today or not enough. Hello, sir. Good morning. You're on air. Oh, I don't think he meant to call me live. Oh, he doesn't realize I'm still live. All right. Anyway, folks, here is your news. Jonathan, only God knows what you're talking about sometimes. I have no clue. All right, good folks. Have a wonderful day. Be good.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Here's a summary of some of Cayman's latest headlines. A Caymanian man accused of attempting to murder his ex-girlfriend in the UK after he stabbed her with a broken beer bottle claims he does not remember the incident. 40-year-old Jeremy Holiness reportedly inflicted a 6-inch slash wound on Alison MacDonald's neck and cuts to her face in a broad daylight attack. A family has been left devastated after camera footage revealed that their dog was intentionally run over by a driver. The dog is still alive but was injured in the shocking ordeal. Police are investigating the theft of 100 pounds of fish from a container at the back of a premises on Bordentown Road earlier this week. Officers responded to reports of the theft on Monday. The Department of Agriculture said that laboratory results revealed that there is no avian influenza found in the Cayman Islands. This after an investigation was launched following the recent unknown death of a flock of chickens. The Cayman Islands Customs and Border Control Service has confirmed that 6 Cuban migrants arrived in a vessel that came ashore in Northside on Tuesday. 2 of them were minors. After over 12 years of providing animal welfare and rescue services in the Cayman Islands, the Protection of Animal Welfare Society, or PAWS, is winding up operations. Now for your CMR weather update, it's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise just after 7, mainly sunny skies are expected, when the temperature is at 82 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity at 74% like the forecast calls for. It will feel like it's in the mid-80s. Winds east at 5 to 10 miles per hour and the sun sets at 6:11. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the low to mid-70s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit CaymanMallRoad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.